I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You drop a pass, you run a mile. You miss a blocking assignment, you run a mile. You fumble the football, and I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Double A Squad, what's good? It's your boy Ryan here, riding solo post Super Bowl. Sometimes you just got to pick up the reins and go into the darkness alone, and that's what I'm doing today. Kelly out of the studio due to scheduling conflicts, and sometimes that's just what happens, and that's okay. Life happens. We're not professionals at this, as you well know if you've been with us for this long. So today might be a tangent-filled, nonsensical day as you will enter into the mind of Ryan and just the different thoughts that I have about after the big game, what's going forward, some different things that I've seen online. This won't be a very long episode, and actually you will end up hearing from Kelly in this episode. It will just be a different version of him. It'll be something that we pre-recorded last week on a topic that he's super passionate about. So we're going to kind of mesh some two things together. You'll still get both the Ryan and Kelly experience, but not as you would typically have it here in the Armchair Authority. But we enter into the dark times. The dark times are... It's the time of the year when football is completely done. The big game, the Super Bowl, was played last Sunday between the Seahawks and the Patriots, and we have a new Super Bowl champion. And it is, in fact, Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks riding in on a very, very impressive defensive performance in this one. Pretty much dominated the entire game from beginning to end, and it never really felt like the Patriots were going to gain a foothold. And then you have your halftime show conversations that we can have as well, a little bit different from years past. And yeah, so I mean, it was just an overall experience. I would say it was a pretty, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10 as far as my Super Bowl experience went. I get the Seahawks won, which, I'm fine with. They have a, like I said on the show, I think last week or the week before, maybe, they've got a kid from Pierre there on their offensive line. Gray Zabel, who is from South Dakota, which I was like, all right, cool, rooting interest there, let's go for it. Plus, it's kind of fun when you get to put a little bit of a dagger into Viking fans every now and again, where you have Sam Darnold the year before, you're very successful, you win 14 games, you go to the playoffs, what happens. They decide not to re-sign him. They decide to stick with J.J. McCarthy and see what happens out there in Minnesota. And, well, one thing leads to another. Darnold goes to the Seahawks. He signs a team-friendly deal. And a year later, he's a Super Bowl champion, I don't know if this game really answered a lot of questions that we had about Darnold, specifically some of the ones that Kelly had, where you're like, I keep waiting for the old Darnold to show up. The true Darnold, is he gonna be what we've seen him to be for most of his career? And he wasn't. I mean, he made some big throws when he needed to, but he wasn't. He just needed to be the reason that they didn't lose, right? Or the reason they just don't be the reason we lose. Is kind of what I would have put out into the ether, things that I wouldn't have said that directly to him, but it's just go out there, make some plays, don't make any mistakes, continue to play mistake-free football as we've done throughout the entire postseason. Come to find out, this is the first team ever to win a Super Bowl without turning the ball over once in the postseason. So they play 3 postseason games, and they don't turn the ball over, which is a very good recipe for success. This was a pretty clean game as far as penalties were concerned. I think at one point in time I looked, and I think there was a total of maybe 3 penalties. And there might have been a couple more towards the end of the game, but, the officiating stayed out of it. There wasn't that point in the game where you're like, all right, here we go. Zebras have got to stick their nose in it to kind of make it interesting, and it never felt that way. I think just the dominance up front from Seattle's defense being able to only needing to rush forward and continuously getting pressure on May was a huge success for this win. So I don't think there's a lot of things that you really need to get into. I think as I was watching it, as I've had about a day and a half to marinate on what I saw in the game, how I felt about the two teams, I feel like on the AFC side, we may have been robbed of a more competitive game had a different team made it. And I think on the NFC side, I think it was the best. I think the best team won the Super Bowl this year. I do. I think top to bottom, I think with the way that Seattle played the entire year, they minimized turnovers the whole year. They didn't kill themselves with stupid penalties. They were really good on special teams. If you noticed, at least what I was paying attention to as a Packer fan, watching what a true good special teams unit does, especially on the biggest moments where they're pinning teams inside the 5. Their punter is good. Their coverage team is good. They're making tackles. They're not, forcing stupid penalties here and there. Like, they dominated on all 3 sides of the ball, and it was one of those things where you looked at that team and you felt the inadequacies of your own, and you're like, man, I thought we were close. And it turns out we weren't really all that close. We got to shore some things up on our end of the ball, and I'm sure other fan bases felt that way too. For me, this performance by the Seattle defense was impressive, but it didn't have the same impact that I had when I watched Seattle play Denver 10 years ago, or whatever it was, 11 years ago, when it was Seattle and Denver. And you had Denver coming in. They were kind of riding that hot hand. They were that record-breaking offense that nobody could stop, and Peyton Manning was throwing for 60 touchdowns, and it seems like they were unstoppable. And then they go to the Super Bowl, and they play this Legion of Boom defense from Seattle, and they just get popped in the mouth, and they don't know how to respond, right? And you looked at it, and you're like, man, I've seen this Denver team annihilate everybody all year long. And then they finally ran into a buzzsaw that was that defense. This didn't feel like that because I never got that feeling, even though I think the Patriots on the year were a top 5 offense, maybe top 2 as far as scoring goes. But we've said it on this show before. I think I was never really sold on the Patriots just based on who they have played all year long, and I get it. They don't make the schedule. You got to play your schedule. And I think most of the time teams that end up going to the Super Bowl have one of the top 15 to top 10 easiest schedules, and that's just kind of how things go. I think it's kind of a smart thing on the NFL's side to be able to continue to create parity as they do, to give teams a chance. I mean, what other sport can you go from 3 wins to 14 wins and in the Super Bowl in the span of a year? I mean, it's impressive. You got to give the Patriots credit for what they were able to do, how they were able to be resilient, how they were able to be diligent to make it here. I think Mike Vrabel's a hell of a coach. I think that was the right hire. Obviously, I like him a lot. But as I walk away from it, I feel more along the lines of the Patriots weren't as good as we thought they were, or maybe they were just as good as we thought they were, but they got some help from a very weak schedule, and obviously from some things that kind of bounced their way in the playoffs, if you really want to look at it that way. On one side of it, you could say, man, so if they win the Super Bowl, they would have beat one of the top offenses in Houston, one of the top defenses in Houston, one of the top defenses in Denver, and then the top defense in Seattle. If they go all the way, that's a pretty impressive resume if you can beat all those teams. But then you look at it on the other side, and I mean, even when they played the Chargers as well, the Chargers don't, that's not a defense to slouch on. They do a really good job. But, I mean, the Chargers have no offensive line, and they were pretty much able to just kind of cakewalk through their way to Herbert and getting sacks and forcing, throws that he didn't want to make, or whatever, however you want to look at it. They were able to dominate that offensive line and win that game. You look at the Texans, who they played in the divisional round, and you're like, okay, May's not playing very well. That Texans defense is doing their job. They're forcing turnovers. They're getting the ball back. But then C.J. Stroud turned into what he turned into this year in the playoffs, and that was a guy that's just going to turn the ball over 5 times. And you're like, man, if he only turns the ball over 3 times, I think the Texans get out of there, and they're the ones that get to go to Denver, not the Patriots. So You got to look at it that way. And then this phantom weird ankle injury that Bo Nix has that allows Jarrett Stidham to step in, and as much belief as the Denver Bronco fans wanted to have in Stiddy, and all of this hype that was around him going into this game and how much belief they had, I think, you eventually show why you're a backup quarterback, why you're not starting for somebody else. And I think if Bo Nix plays in that game, I think it's a different outcome. I think he's able to make more throws and create more plays that Stidham just isn't able to do. And in a game that was close, that could be the difference, right? It changes the way that you call the game from Sean Payton's aspect as well. There were a couple of questionable things that he did in that championship game where you're like, you should have kicked the field goal here. You should have done this and left points on the board. And, that game turned into kind of a slog on the second half because of all the snow that was happening and the weather change and whatever else. So, again, there's some different arguments that you could have about how the Patriots' schedule turned out and how they got there. But, you got to play the schedule that you're given. And I think they did that. But ultimately, I think when they ran into a superior team and maybe a team of the likes that they hadn't seen all year, I think this is the result that you get. Sometimes the moment's too big. I was talking with my family came over for the game, and they do all those pre-game interviews, and they go around and they talk to the different players, and they were interviewing Drake May, and some of you probably saw this, but the interviewer asked Drake May, it's like, hey, how you feeling for this? Are you prepared? And all those silly questions that they ask that you're, what other answer you're going to give? No, I'm not prepared. I'm scared shitless, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Help me. No, it was those questions where they're just kind of asking them game plan stuff and how they feel about it and all that. Well, one of the big storylines for this Super Bowl was the fact that Drake May attended the Panthers-Broncos Super Bowl 10 years ago in Santa Clara. Same situation, but this time he's on the field. And I think it was Michelle Tafoya or whoever it was, the view from down here is a lot better, right? And he said, just ready to go play football. He was like overly serious. And I turned to my dad and I said, he's too tight. This isn't going to turn out well for him. And sure enough, like we got out there, you see the game, everything develops the way that it does, and he was. I mean, he was pressing, and you see it all the time. She set him up for the perfect response of like, yeah, this is great. Looking forward to the experience. It is a lot better being down here than in the stands. Just really looking forward to the opportunity to go out there, have some fun with my guys and hopefully come away with a championship. But he was all business, which is fine. But I think those of you that have played sports know that typically you play a lot better when you're loose, when you're just out there to have fun. I don't know how a second-year player, unless you've got a different mindset on it or whatever, goes out there and plays loose at the Super Bowl. I totally don't give him, any fault for that because, I mean, how do you got to compartmentalize all that too. So you kind of hope that maybe after the first quarter he begins to settle, but there was no settling against that Seattle defense. They were on him all night. I think they sacked him upwards of 7 times. He had 2 interceptions, I think another fumble, 2 fumbles or something like that. It was an all-time performance, but I think going back to my original statement where I'm like, it didn't feel like the dominant force that it was when the other Seattle team won against the Broncos. I think it's just because of how I felt about the Patriots. I think a better team could have given Seattle a chance, but it just kind of, I think it's how the tide is right now. I think sometimes the NFC is superior and sometimes the AFC is superior, and we see the tide switch every now and again. But it doesn't take away from the performance that Seattle put out on the field. I think it was incredibly impressive, especially for a team that's pretty young. I mean, they've got a lot of young players, a couple rookies. I think this is only the beginning for them if they can keep that core together. Like I said, Darnold's got a team-friendly deal. I think they're top 5 in cap space going into 26, along with their draft picks. And they've got a really smart GM that continuously puts them in situations to succeed. This might be the start of something, with McDonald there as their head coach. I think there's a lot of things that can go right for them, and it's surprising because they kind of won a Super Bowl, if you really look at it, without having any of those like moments of, oh man, you have to pay your dues, and then next year you get it. You'll have a tough loss, but then you'll figure that out, and then it doesn't really feel like that. I mean, unless you count Geno Smith being there, and it's being, all the jokes that are on him lately of he leaves Seattle, they win a Super Bowl, he goes to the Raiders, and they have the first pick. It's like, I don't think Geno Smith is that bad, but it is kind of a crappy situation for him to be a part of where you're like, so the team that you were a part of adds a different quarterback, gets rid of you. Obviously, they add other pieces and stuff like that, but they win a Super Bowl the minute you leave and you give the team that you go to the first overall pick because not a good look, man. Not a good look, but unless the injury bug hits them or something else happens to where this was just kind of a fluke thing, I think Seattle's going to be one of those teams that's going to be around, especially if they can keep that defense intact, which it seems like they should be able to. There's a lot of young players that, are still on friendly contracts. They're not going to be able to get poached immediately like a lot of these Super Bowl teams do, where other teams go out and take away their players in free agency and just pay them a little bit more. And I think Collinsworth said it, not Collinsworth, but Cowherd, I think on Monday yesterday, was talking about how McDonald is basically the McVay for defense. And I liked that analogy. I thought, I think for sure. I think he's creative in the way that he schemes up things. I think obviously he's getting the most out of his players. They play hard. They play downhill. I mean, it was insane even what both defenses were doing, where it was like they were jumping routes and trying to be super aggressive and create those turnovers. And you kind of felt like Vrabel knew that his team was a little bit undersized and undermatched. He knew that he had the second best team out there on the field and needed to create something to kind of give himself an edge. But it just never materialized in anything. So congrats to the Seahawks. I think it was fairly entertaining. I was kind of hoping it was going to be one of those things where it was 9-0 going into the fourth, and it turns into an overtime hockey match where, oh man, one mistake and it's all done. Or that Miami Texas Tech game that we had earlier this year in the playoffs, where it was just like this nail-biting defensive battle that happened, and you're just waiting for one team to make a mistake or one team to make or take advantage of something that was going on, and it just never turned into that. I think it definitely got sloppy towards the end with some of the turnovers that happened. Obviously, the pick six kind of blew things wide open, and just some of the other touchdowns that happened. So it made it. I think that the score ended up reflecting exactly how the game turned out, which I think is a weird thing to say, but if you look at the totality of it, when it was 9-0, it felt like it was 29-0, 30-0, with the way that Seahawks defense was playing. So it eventually turned into how the game was being represented on the field. And all props to Seattle. As a Packer fan, that kind of sucks that they're going to be good. And I'm sure we'll end up having to play them next year, and we'll kind of see how this whole thing goes. But I definitely am envious of how that team's put together, how they play complementary football on all three phases, and it's impressive, man. I think if they can keep that unit together, that coaching staff, which I think Kubiak's already going to the Raiders, so they'll have to replace that offensive mind that they'll have there, and sometimes that has an effect. I mean, Detroit, kind of the same deal, right? So we'll see. It's always hard to replace some of those coaches and those offensive minds, but I think they definitely far and away have the talent to be able to continue to be a contender, and maybe I don't know, maybe we're looking at the start of something very special in Seattle with the dynasty. But as other fans of other teams, and you're like, man, I hope not. I hope maybe this is just a one-off and they can have theirs and ride off into the sunset. But as far as Kelly's concerns for Sam Darnold, I don't really know what answer to give you. He wasn't the problem. Old Darnold didn't show up. He made some throws when he needed to, and he didn't lose them the game. So I would say that's a win for him, and I think it shuts up a lot of people. I think a lot of those people that were doubting him, a lot of those people that were waiting for the signature Sam Darnold blow-up game under pressure, I think they can all crawl back underneath their rocks and go hide somewhere. I don't feel like I was ever one of those. I don't really have an opinion on Sam Darnold. I view him in a lot of ways like I do Baker Mayfield, where it's a guy that's been in the league for a while. It's a guy that's taken his lumps. There's that famous quote when he was playing for the Jets and they were playing against the Patriots, and I'm seeing ghosts out there, and that was one of those things where you're like, man, this might not be long for him in this league. He might not be here. He might be doing something else. Hopefully he's got a good college degree from USC. But he found a way to be resilient, man. Found some people that believed in him. He talked about how special his parents were throughout this whole process and continuing to invest in him and believe in him and show him that he's more than, just this player that people made him out to be. I think I got to give a lot of credit to Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota and all those guys for being able to give him an opportunity to be successful and build that confidence. because he was kind of shipped around the league. He had a couple of different stops here and there. But I think it's just a feel-good story about a guy with enough resilience and enough self-reflection to go, all right, I got to quit doing some of the old things I was doing that it just wasn't working out. I know I've got the talent, but now I got to switch up things between the years. And I think he did that. I think there was a lot of throws that he would have made in this game earlier on in his career that would have cost them mightily, to the point where they never would have even been in a position to play in this game, let alone win it. So I think that comes with maturity. I think we can all relate to that as we get older. We look at some of the things that we did maybe when we were younger that we're like, man, if I knew then what I know now, things would be different. But the simple fact is we're not all blessed with that ability to be able to change those things. So we have to make the best of what we've got. And I think Darnold's done that. I think his trajectory to where he's at, being a Super Bowl champion, I think it's definitely one to admire and one to hopefully inspire other people to go, I'm more than the sum of my parts. I'm more than what has happened before, and what's ahead of me is going to be a lot better. And it's somebody that I would point out to my son and be like, there's a guy that he just continued to persevere, man. No matter what anybody told him, what the media said, anything, he continued to believe in himself. His parents believed in him. Coaching staff believes in him. McDonald, his head coach, talks highly of him as a player and a leader, and is kind of getting annoyed by all of these conversations around Sam, as I think a lot of us are. So you got to give him a lot of credit, man, for sure. He didn't blink. The moment wasn't too big. He made some throws when he needed to. Obviously wasn't the star of the show, and sometimes you don't need to be. Sometimes the game has to come to you, and you have to manage it in the way that it comes prepackaged. And it didn't call for him to be the savior. The defense was the star. Kenneth Walker, their running back, was the appetizer, and he just kind of needed to be the mint at the end of a 5-course meal. Something to kind of cleanse the palate, make you feel a little bit better about the experience that you had, and it didn't ruin the meal. It was only complimentary, and you just kind of went on with your day, right? So, props to him, and man, Kenneth Walker looking like a guy that's about to get paid. Whether he stays in Seattle, I believe he's a free agent in 26. So if he can continuously run like he did in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs, where his production level jumped up to like tenfold, crazy. That guy's got to get a nice little paycheck from somebody. We'll see if he can keep it up. But that's going to be another hard thing for them to replace if Kenneth Walker walks out the door and isn't able to run the rock for them. That'll be another hard thing to replace, is a good running back, and another thing for Darnold to have to overcome if they don't have a run game. So we'll see how the 2026 Seahawks shake out. But one of the things that I kind of want to look at, since, why not? It's never too early, right? Let's look at 2026 NFL Super Bowl odds right now as it stands. Let's see. As of 2 days ago, all 32 team odds after the championship. You guys ready for this? NFL championship odds. The teams, I'll give you the top, let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll give you the top 10. Ready? Number 10 at 15-1, Kansas City Chiefs to win next year's Super Bowl. Then you have at 15-1 the Los Angeles Chargers. Then you have the Green Bay Packers at 14-1, with the Detroit Lions ahead of them at 14-1 as well. Then it's the New England Patriots hanging in there at 13-1. Then they have the Baltimore Ravens, who, they are going through this transition. New coach, new offensive coordinator, a bunch of different things, but they're still at 13-1, and it seems Vegas really believes in what they've got going on there. Obviously, they still have Lamar, so that definitely helps. But then you have the Eagles at 13-1. Then this one's interesting, but I think keeping their OC, but also becoming the new head coach, is the Buffalo Bills at 11-1. And then your top two teams are the Seattle Seahawks at number 2, and then the Los Angeles Rams at number 1, which they have the same odds. They're both plus 950 to be your next Super Bowl champion. But very interesting there. I mean, the Rams felt like they were kind of a player away. I always wondered how that game would have turned out had Aaron Donald still been playing. And I know he's older, and I know he's been retired for a few years. But they kind of needed somebody to impact that game just a little bit more. And they play Seattle really well. They put up 27 on that defense. That if you watch the game on Sunday at the Super Bowl, you're like, how the hell is anybody going to put up more than 8 points on this defense? Well, the Rams did it numerous times. They beat them this year, at least once of the 3 times that they played. But each game was super competitive. So the Rams aren't that far off. They're going to get Stafford back, the MVP. So they've obviously got 2 great weapons in Nakua and Devontae. So, I mean, they're right there, man. So we'll see. At the bottom of the list, just for fun, we'll kind of look at those that are, if you want to put in some money, try to win on a long shot here. Your biggest winners, if it turns out to be something of a special season, right? And I can't believe that the Raiders aren't at the bottom of this list, but the Arizona Cardinals currently sit at the very, very bottom of this list at number 32 with the longest odds to win the Super Bowl at 200-1. And then it's the Dolphins, Jets, Raiders, Browns, Titans, Panthers. So Panthers, who were a playoff team, won their division, still at the very bottom of the list, still behind teams like the Saints, who are in their division, still behind teams like the Buccaneers, who are also in their division. So where are the Falcons at? Did I say that? Yeah. So actually, it's the Falcons are ahead of them as well. So the team that won the division isn't losing a lot of personnel, as far as as far as I understand it. Seems like they got a pretty decent head coach. Has the longest odds to win a Super Bowl out of anybody in their division. So a little bit disrespectful there, but that's kind of where they believe they're going to land. It'll be interesting to see because there's always going to be one of these top teams that we feel who did really well in 25 that isn't going to do so well in 26. Maybe they caught fire. Maybe it was one of those things where they got really lucky. A la the Chiefs last year, where I kept kind of poking at Kelly about this isn't sustainable success, man. You can't just keep winning one-score games. It's going to come back to bite you. Well, eventually it did in the Super Bowl, and then also again in 25, where it's the outcomes that they had in 25 were not what they had in 24. And it's just how the cookie crumbles, right? So my eyes as a Packer fan immediately goes to somebody like the Bears. The Bears won a lot of one-score games. I went over it in a previous episode about how they could have been, a 10-loss team instead of a 10-win team if one thing bounces one way or the other. But the simple matter of the fact is they won those games. Do they get the same, whatever you want to call it, luck of the draw in 25 or in 26, excuse me, that they did in 25? It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it all depends on their schedule. They're going to have to play a little bit of a harder schedule this year, right? So they're not going to play a 4th-place schedule. I think they'll end up playing a 3rd-place schedule, or a 2nd-place schedule, I think, is actually where they'll end up, based on where they finished in the they won the division, didn't they? Yes, they did. So they'll play a 1st-place NFC schedule this year. That changes a lot of things, just like I said before. So now you got to play all these teams that finish first in their division, plus all of your divisional opponents twice, and whoever you play in the AFC. So that'll be interesting to see how that turns out, for sure. Currently, Chicago Bears 25-1, so they're right in the middle there, right in the middle of the pack with teams like the Cowboys and the Bengals and the Jaguars. So, we'll see. Get a whole year of tape on Ben Johnson's offense. We'll see exactly what happens with them. I expect the Cowboys to be hopefully a little bit better going into 26. Hopefully they can make some moves and get that defense right. They always seem to have the right pieces on offense and don't have trouble scoring the ball, but it's stopping people from scoring on them. That's always kind of a big issue. So I expect them to kind of make a leap forward, maybe finish 2nd in that division, maybe vie for a wild card spot. That would be interesting. I think the Jaguars are going to continue to be good. The Texans defense is really good. Niners are still going to be good. Broncos should be fine. The Bengals, always a big question mark depending on where their health is, plus their defense is not really all that great. Buccaneers will probably be middle of the road again. Indianapolis Colts will be an interesting one to watch. This was a team that started out, I think, 8-0, and then they ended up just absolutely imploding on the second half of the season and missing the playoffs entirely, which, oofta. Terrible. And we'll see. I mean, obviously Daniel Jones gets hurt, but we'll see if he's able to kind of capture magic in a bottle. A lot of excitement around the Giants, right? The New York Giants this year with Harbaugh coming in, and you'll have the return of Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo and Malik Neighbors will all be healthy to start the year, and they've got a lot of good young talent on that team, plus who they're going to add in free agency and through the draft. It'll be a very, very enticing offer to go want to play there based on coaching and the different young pieces that they have. So I look for the Giants to take a big step, right? Maybe not make a wild card, but maybe contend for one, for sure. So I think that's the promise that they have. They could be one of those teams that goes from maybe not so great to kind of in the mix there. So yeah, I don't really know who I would put my horse on to kind of flip the script there, but you gotta love the NFL though, man. You could look at any one of these teams, I think 1 through 20, and say, yeah, I think any of those teams could make the playoffs if one thing goes their way here or there. It's like we always talk about. It's a mixture of skill, discipline, and a little bit of luck, right? Kind of gets you where you need to go. So yeah, that is kind of the look at 2026 Super Bowl odds. One of the other thing that I stumbled across, which I find very interesting, and kind of want to touch on briefly. So Matthew Stafford wins the MVP, right? And I could talk glowingly about this guy all day long. Love the fact that he's a girl dad. Love the fact that he's super invested in his kids. You know, they're always there. They're at the games. They're at the award ceremonies. Bunch of different cool things about his life, what he does, and how he invests into his daughters and who he is as a dad and a person. And I just really respect it, and I think it's a super cool thing. But Pro Football Focus, as of today, came out with their highest graded quarterbacks of the 2025 season. And I was curious. I'm like, how do you grade this stuff? Because numbers mean one thing, but how do you get there is really what we want to know, right? And we may have gone over this before. I don't know. But Pro Football Focus tends to be one of the more reputable sources on how we grade things. You know, you even see it at the bottom where it's like his PPF rating is, or his PFF rating is, you know, he's third out of 32 available quarterbacks or whatever. Starting quarterbacks, and it just goes position rating. So we put a lot of weight on that, I think, when we tend to view this stuff. But so I asked the Google, which just developed into its own little AI segment. I said, hey, how does Pro Football Focus grade this stuff? And it said, well, Pro Football Focus grades quarterbacks by analyzing every snap on a -2 to a +2 scale, evaluating performance relative to expected outcome rather than just stats. And me being a stats guy and kind of loving all the stuff that gets played into it, I think that's awesome. I think it's kind of it's a new way to look at things, right? So it evaluates each play, what the outcome could be, and how that affects the team and their overall outcome. So analysts isolate the QB's action, rewarding an elite throw, what they define as an elite throw, as a +2, or penalizing poor decision-making, which would be a -2, in 0.5 increments. So you could have a throw or a decision that could be 0.5, or maybe that throw was 1.5, or maybe that decision to tuck the ball and run it was -0.5. So it's all about how they impact their team, with a 0 being an expected play. So maybe they got more out of that play than they should have. Maybe they got less out of it than they should have, but it's all about decision-making and how those throws came out and overall how it affected the outcome of the game. So for context over stats, a 50-yard touchdown pass that is poorly thrown but caught due to receiver effort is graded lower than a perfectly placed 10-yard pass into a tight window. So +2 would be elite exceptional throws, so tight windows and on deep balls. A +1 would be positive, good throw. Expected, which is your 0 base, is just an average throw. For example, that being a screen pass. A -1 would be negative, so it's a poor throw or a poor decision. And a -2 is an egregious mistake, probably like the one that Drake May made in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, where he threw into like quadruple coverage, zone coverage, and Chris Collins was like, I got nothing for you on that one. I don't think anybody did. I think that would be considered a -2 turnover-worthy play. So the grade focuses on the throw itself, not solely on whether it was caught or dropped. Turnover-worthy plays, PFF specifically isolates plays that should have been intercepted, even if they weren't, to be better measure luck and performance, which I think is great, because there's all sorts of times where we look at different games and you're like, dude, how did that guy not have 4 interceptions today? How did we drop that? I mean, I probably complained about it on this show. I think it was maybe the second game that the Packers played against the Bears where I'm like, they should have picked off Caleb Williams 4 times. Or you look at another team, you're like, how? I think another case for Drake May against the Texans where he has, I want to say he had 4 fumbles, but they recovered 2 of them. And you're like, how do you not fall on that? Or how does that, you just, sometimes that goofy shaped ball just bouncing the wrong direction, right? So this looks at that as well. Turnover-worthy plays specifically isolates plays that should have been intercepted, even if they weren't, to better measure luck and performance. And then lastly, pressure handling. This grades heavily consider performance under pressure, which include accuracy, decision-making, and scrambling ability, independent of whether the play resulted in a sack or a completion. Final grades are normalized and converted into a 0 to 100 scale to allow for comparison. So, with all of that context, all of that behind it, I hope that helps understand where we're going now. So they released their top 10 highest graded QBs for the season on a 0 to 100 scale based on all the information that I just gave you, okay? Starting at number 10, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the 10th highest rated QB in the NFL. Then a guy that we talked about earlier, Sam Darnold, is at number 9. So Jalen Hurts at number 10 with a 78.7. Sam Darnold at number 9 with a 79. Then you have Drake May, who was also in the Super Bowl and also a runner-up for MVP at 80.7 at number 8. Trevor Lawrence, who had a fantastic season. I don't think anybody can deny that. I think Jaguars surprised a lot of people. He played extremely well. He surprised me. I've been a Lawrence hater for a while, where I'm like, at what point do you just cut the umbilical cord and let him go? He, turned a lot of heads and helped shut up a lot of haters. So at 83.7, he's at number 7. Brock Purdy at 85.4 at number 6. Dak Prescott, who always seems to find himself in conversations, and I'm kind of a Dak Prescott apologist. I think he's actually really good. I just think because he's the Cowboys quarterback, he gets more hate than he should. I don't think there's a team in the league that if they had the opportunity to fill their quarterback position, they would not take Dak Prescott. Just going to say that right now. He's at number 5 with 86.9. Number 4, Jordan Love, 88.8. So, again, this is all on a scale of decision-making, what impact are they having on the game, and a scale of 0 to 100. Josh Allen at number 3 with a 90.5. So you can shove that right up your, you-know-what, Kelly. This one as well, although a little bit of context, he didn't play the whole year, so kind of interesting that he's even on this list. I don't know what the number of snaps is required to qualify for your highest grade, but he's still here at number 2, which is Joe Burrow at a 91.8. And then number 1 overall, your MVP, and I think what proves that he gets the edge over Drake May and just how good he actually was this year, especially coming off of that spinal injury, where you can go back and listen to this show. I think it was in August, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I was early 2025. I was dealing with a herniated disc myself, and it sounded very similar to what Stafford was doing, and he was going to get an injection and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's all great. I've had that, but I don't see how you play a whole season, let alone be efficient with a spinal injury like what he's got. This is why I don't get paid millions of dollars to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Matthew Stafford, number 1 at a 91.9. So literally almost 8 points off of a perfect season score for PFF at a 91.9. Narrowing out Joe Burrow at a 91.8, but he is the number 1 rated quarterback. He is your MVP. And somebody that I was kind of quietly rooting for, maybe not so quiet, but I really wanted him to kind of come away with a Super Bowl to end the year this year, just to kind of cap it off, because I really enjoy Matthew Stafford. But some interesting players on this list, some that you may have thought should have been on here but aren't. Notable people that I think if I would have given this quiz to somebody and said, can you name the 5 highest graded quarterbacks from the year? I think a lot of people would have said, you give your stereotypical Sunday school answer where you go, okay, Patrick Mahomes, right? Or Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams. I think people think that Jared Goff is very efficient as well, but those guys aren't on here. I don't know where they land. I didn't want to pay the extra money to see the whole 32 list, but I think it's interesting to see who's on here. I would not have put Jalen Hurts on here, just based on things that I saw. I was super impressed with him coming off the Super Bowl win a year ago against the Chiefs, and he was a Super Bowl MVP, and he looked really good, and he was airing it out, and he was throwing the ball really well and all that stuff, and it was just not – he just wasn't the same player this whole year, and it was kind of like, okay, now I understand what people are saying when they don't put him in the top echelon of quarterbacks. So – surprised to see him here. Not really surprised to see some of the other ones. I thought Purdy had a great year. Lawrence had a great year. Drake May had a great year. Sam Darnold. Prescott. I'm a big advocate for Jordan Love. I think a lot of people give him hate because he had to follow up arguably one of the best passers of all time. But Jordan Love does a lot of things very well. I think he throws the ball very well. I think he puts his team in positions to succeed. And he makes tough throws, man. And I know that, there's a lot of people out there that be like, well, he wasn't doing it in the prime and all this other stuff. And yeah, there is a lot of that. But I do think there's a lot of growth to his game as well, that if he continues on this trajectory, I think we're going to continue to see him being talked about a lot towards the top end. And obviously the top three there with Stafford, Burrow, and Allen, no doubters, right? I think they all make great decisions. All great throwers of the football. But yeah, just kind of an interesting insight on how some of those grades are pushed out, and what we see doesn't necessarily always translate to how things are graded or vice versa. So kind of interesting. But last thing I'll talk about was, Kelly's always got to make his mark on things. He's always got to talk about certain stuff. And because he's in a different generation, it's always funny to see his reaction towards things. So Bad Bunny plays the halftime show, right? A lot of different conversations about this. First and foremost, before I even get into that, I specifically showed up for the Super Bowl just to hear Charlie Puth sing the national anthem, and my goodness, did that guy nail it. He's incredibly talented. I watch him on Instagram periodically where he teaches people on his Instagram. This is a guy he's sold millions of records, right? He's super popular, pop artist, whatever, but mainly the focus of his Instagram is to teach people about music and how music comes together and how you can create all these things, and it's incredibly interesting. I love music, so it's interesting to me, but he does like this, it feels like a high school teaching hour type of thing where he teaches you those things. So I was familiar with him, obviously, before all of this, so I was super excited to see how he did, and my goodness, he did not disappoint. That's got to be a top 5 all-time anthem, right? Hard to beat. Whitney Houston. Chris Stapleton's from a couple years ago was awesome as well. But, I mean, Charlie did an amazing job, too. So, hats off to him. I thought a lot of the music that was done was really good. But Kelly texts the group, and he, after the halftime show's over, and he just goes, what? And I think it perfectly encapsulates yet another instance where it's just too much of a generation removed, right? Like, even with Kendrick Lamar for me last year, my brother's big into it. My brother's about 5 years younger than I am. And so he's a big Kendrick Lamar guy. He loved it. But there was a lot of things that happened within that halftime show where I'm just kind of like, that I felt like for this one where I'm like, I think the set is cool. You're trying to say something culturally that I think you want to have an impact, but it's not hitting me because I'm not a part of it. And I don't understand what you're saying, right? That's kind of how I felt about Kendrick Lamar. And in a lot of ways, even more so this time, I felt the same thing. I'm like, man, that set's pretty cool. I think it's cool that they're like trying to bring in this Puerto Rican vibe of, what it's like to maybe live there or whatever. But it's hard to resonate with it because I don't know what they're saying. I think Kelly felt the same way. I ran across this clip that I'll play from Talladega Nights that I feel encapsulated exactly what Kelly's feelings were on this halftime show.
I can't understand a word you said the whole time.
Did you eat some peanut butter or something?
Yeah, you sound like a dog with peanut butter on the roof of your mouth.
It's just, I mean, it's hard, man. Like he's speaking a language, he's singing in a language that we don't know. But I think it is, there was a lot of conversation going into it, and I think there is an underlying agenda here for the NFL, trying to reach those global markets, especially when Roger Goodell gets up before the Super Bowl. He has conversations with people, and he's like, hey, we're going to try to have more international games than we've ever had. I think we had 8 this year. We're going to try to bump that up to 9 or 10 or whatever it is. And I do think that he's pushing for a market in our hemisphere, right? To kind of get away from having to travel all of those hours and those jet lag hours and keep teams like, I think the Vikings spent like 3 weeks overseas last year, something like that. I think they played in London and then had to go play again the following week. So they were there for a total of like a month or something stupid. And that would just be terrible. So I think they're trying to, obviously build maybe more of a South America, Puerto Rico, Mexico, those type of vibes, get people more interested in the sport that way. I think that was the pull for having Bad Bunny, who did an entire 15-minute halftime show in Spanish. I think that was kind of the underlying reasoning behind it. So I'm not getting into the politics of it or whatever else or anything that Bad Bunny said. I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves for what it is. And I think the best way to pull in those viewers from those places that all speak Spanish is to get the most popular Spanish-speaking artist on the planet to play your halftime show. And I think they did that. I think they were successful in doing that because there was a lot of people that were like, I didn't understand a word of it, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, good for you. I watched both of the halftime shows. I watched the one that Turning Point put on, and then I watched the one that was at the Super Bowl. And honestly, I walked away with nothing really exciting to say about either of them. It was just that I didn't pull away anything. I think the last time I actually was like super impressed with a halftime show, and this is going to sound incredibly dumb, but I think it's a generational thing. I got pretty hyped for Usher's. There was a lot of things that Usher did that resonated with me as a young teenager where I'm like, oh man, there's 50 Cent, there's Ludacris. And there's a lot of things that I remember from being a teenager where his music hit and that was what it was. And so I think you're not going to please everybody. That's just what it is, right? So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. But I think for what it was and what people were making it out to be, I think it turned out to be fine. But don't be mistaken with the fact that I do think there's an underlying agenda here for the U.S. to try and pull in a larger audience, especially those that are south of America, south of the United States. And I think that was the reasoning behind it. And I think it was fine. It is what it is. It was a cool set. I couldn't understand a damn thing that was being said because I don't speak Spanish. Really needed my translator there to help me out with that one, but he was unavailable at the time. So, yeah. So those are kind of the roundabout thoughts that I have. I do find it interesting, and I don't know how they figure this stuff out. Okay, but there was something going around after this. Whoop, excuse me. Sorry, Instagram just plays stupid music whenever you look stuff up. But this was posted that said. Whatever this means. It must have meant that everybody was kind of holding it until after the halftime show. But over 761,000 toilets were flushed in New York City in the 15 minutes after the Super Bowl halftime show. New York City saw a significant reduction in water usage throughout the 5 boroughs during the Super Bowl halftime show that Bad Bunny put on. But in the 15 minutes right after the show ended, there was a spike in usage equivalent to that of 761,000 toilets flushing across the town. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. That's a lot of toilets. It's a lot of people, holding it. So it either meant one of two things. They were either so entertained that they didn't want to leave their TV for the 15 minutes that the halftime show was on, or the halftime show made them so sick that everybody needed to go use the toilet. It was probably the first one. I'm just joking. Again, don't really care. But to end this halftime show conversation, here is a compilation of Bad Bunny every time that he said the word "ay" in the show.
Just for a while. Okay.
You're welcome for that. Also, I do believe that somebody measured it out. He had more yardage during his halftime show than the Patriots had in the first 3 quarters. So again, that either says a lot about the Patriots or a lot about Seattle's defense. But boy, wow, just an absolutely incredible performance from everybody all the way around. So the last thing I'll leave you with that I found as well, just to put things into perspective for you, and I should have put this in when I was talking about Seattle's defense before, but I'm just an idiot. I don't know how to put all this stuff together. For context, okay? For context, in 2017, the Cleveland Browns, who went 0-16, averaged 1.22 points per drive. The Patriots, Super Bowl against the Seahawks in 2026, averaged 1.13 points per drive. That just kind of goes to show you how good Seattle's defense was. Obviously, smaller sample size, but incredible performance by them.
This is Kelly, and my boy Ryan over here, who's barely above the table. I'm looking at just about chin height. He is slouched down so badly in his chair. Ryan, welcome, and are you okay?
Is this the correct posture?
I think it looks great.
I was just trying to do a little role reversal here.
It's working out.
Yeah. Except I think I got to get my feet all the way over here.
Look, you can touch them, just don't rest them on me.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm okay.
I'm sorry you're not feeling well. This is really off for me. I don't sound very well. I mean, I'm recovering.
Sure.
You're clearly in the midst of something. You're looking like you're not feeling entirely well.
This is round two, and it just keeps circling its way through the house. There's just,
Man.
once you think you're on the other side of it, it was a little bit of a stomach issue Sunday, Monday, and then you kind of you crest over the hill and you think it's all downhill after that. And Tuesday, Wednesday goes pretty good, and then you wake up Thursday and your ears are plugged, and you're like, all right, sweet, yearly winter sinus infection.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, like, your kids never sleep because they're young, and it just is what it is, and everybody's got something going on. So.
Yeah, it's miserable. I had a little something set in last Tuesday night. We're at a basketball game on the road. The game lasted forever, super late. Had a number of issues go on in the home, one being a refrigerator. Not going to get into that. In any event, started last Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, down for the count.
Yeah.
Felt like my head was splitting right down the middle. Could not alleviate the headache whatsoever. Yeah, miserable. Started on the mend a little bit, and then ever since then I've had good days, and I've had not as good days where I'm like, man, is something else now settling in? Is something going on? Anyway, I understand I sound ridiculous. You sound much better than I do. But I'm happy to take this role today. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fire up.
Lead us to the...
You said bring the energy. I don't have a lot.
Lead us to podcast glory.
I don't have a lot. So let's just start here. Let's just get right into this crap.
Why not?
I'm sorry you don't feel well.
Yeah, it's fine.
And it's a vicious cycle when you get
like,
into
physically,
the home.
I feel fine. It's just one of those things where, like, my brain isn't firing on all cylinders today.
The fog.
Yeah, it's
the
just
fog.
like,
Yes, it hangs around.
Yeah, like, I was looking for the intro, and it took me probably longer, like twice as long as it normally does, because I couldn't find the word intro within the list of files, and I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so one of the guys I work with, right, he comes in the other day, and he tells me that he's doing up this paperwork thing, and he'd been working on it for nearly an hour and a half. And it was a real simple thing, and you remember back in your day working there, it's called the discharge, right?
Yeah,
it's called the discharge.
Oh, yeah.
They don't take incredibly long.
My favorite thing to do, actually.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Especially for certain individuals.
Correct. Those who are no longer breathing? That?
What? No.
Oh, okay.
No, my Lord. No. Those that were,
successful.
They did just enough to be successful, but they were probably considered a pain in the ass.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the ones where the red numbers come up behind.
Wow, no.
Okay. Okay. Oh, you know what? Go ahead.
I'm sick, but I'm not that sick.
Let's rescind that. Anyway, he was working on what's generally a relatively simple process, something you can probably knock out 5-10 minutes if you're really getting after it, right?
Yeah.
An hour and a half, he's still working on it, and it doesn't look like the cursor is moving very much.
Yeah.
And then at one point, he kind of rolls his chair into my doorway, and he's got that look from afar, mouth breathing. You can tell the brain fog is heavy in this one.
10,000-foot stare or whatever they call it. I
Yeah.
don't know what it's called.
Yeah. And it just had to take a look at him.
10,000 yards.
Yeah, we'll go yard, feet, miles.
Yards makes sense.
Distance.
If you're looking at something, it's not feet.
If it's a
usually
distance, it counts.
Yards.
But he
Meters?
had the stare and the open mouth breathing, and it was early.
Yeah.
It was early in the morning, and it's like, buddy, you get sick leave for a reason. Why don't you go ahead and put in for some?
Right.
You should probably go because the brain fog is real.
Absolutely.
And I said to him, I maybe could have made it one of the 2 days that I stayed home. I maybe could have made it one of those days, but the brain fog, when I get somewhere and I just don't feel like I have any efficiency whatsoever because I'm more focused on I feel like ass.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can do the normal routines of what I need to do, and my brain is fogged and I can't think and function. I'm better off not being there.
Yeah, simple math seems really hard right now. Like if anybody was like to give me a math problem or even just certain things to do right now, it just seems like it would be an astronomical task. Well,
I'm not feeling nearly as bad now
that
I did not bring the Wizard of Oz today.
Oh, why? I mean, that could have been fun. I could have been really bad at it.
You're not there. You're not there.
Not as sharp.
You can't find intro. You definitely can't name off 10 fun facts.
In fairness, my font over here is probably at like 2%. It's pretty tiny. So that probably didn't help me. But
this is some great content, man. We're really rolling. So you say bring the energy. Here's where I'm at. We haven't been here for 2 weeks, right? My apologies. I was sick last week. Couldn't make it happen. Was a little bit worried about this week. Got it figured out. In any event, I have taken a beating, an absolute beating, over comments that I made regarding how the NIL, more so the transfer portal, has affected high school recruiting. I have taken a beating. I've been told that that's all in my head. I'm making an excuse. I'm da-da-da. And it isn't by 1, 2, 3 people. I mean, it is well over 8 to 10 people have beat my ass over making excuses about the portal and how it's affecting high school recruiting. And I said to at least 3 of them, I want you to show me proof that high school recruiting is still going today like it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever the case is. I want you to show me that generally the only kids who are being recruited now at the high school level are generally what are considered 4- and 5-star kids. And how soon are they seeing the field? How soon are they playing? How much are teams going into the transfer portal? Because my argument now is, and I'm seeing a ton of it, and I researched it so I wasn't making an ass of myself when I sat here, right? And I am going to defend. I'm going to defend my point that the portal has affected high school recruiting. Personally, in my own experience as it relates to my son, I feel that it has. I feel that there are a number of other contributing factors that led to that, but it has affected that. And but this isn't just from a personal level. This is, I understand, and you can find research and you can Google it and you can chat GPT it all you want. There are a number of Division I programs and Division I FCS programs, right? And the same but not the same. And they are dipping into the portal now. And there are a number of Division II kids that are being picked up in the portal to go to FCS and or flat out FBS bowl series, right? So what is the point? What is the point if you are a business and you have NIL and you are a college program that is win now mode, because that's where everybody's at now, right? Get the right coach, get the right program, got to win now, got to make the playoffs, got to get to a bowl game. It's all win now. What is the point of waiting to develop a high school kid that could potentially have a crazy high ceiling, tons of potential, but you know they're 30 pounds light coming in, 40 pounds light coming in. They need that coaching. They need that skill development. They need that time to acclimate to the program, acclimate to college, do all these things. By the time they're ready to prove themselves of who they are and they reach that ceiling or at least close to it, nobody has time to wait for that anymore because it's easier now to go in. And there are a ton of Division I coaches at both levels that are talking about the importance of finding these Division II kids.
Well, yeah, I mean,
because they are looking at, Ryan, and I'm not putting words in people's mouths, but this is how I'm perceiving it. They are putting Division II kids in the same category as basically a high school kid. We're taking a relatively undeveloped kid, in most cases can be a little bit raw, right? A lot of coaching to be done. Development is starting to come. The weight is coming faster than a high school kid. Some of that acclimation is coming faster than a high school kid. So they're able to put them, and they're able to have a more field-ready product from a Division II kid versus the high school kid. And I will defend this. I will sit here and I will defend this with anybody that wants. Come at me at the comments. Come at me with emails. Come at me in any way you want. You see me on the street, by all means, hammer away. I'm not putting my phone number on the podcast. But if you got my number or you know somebody who does, and you want to engage in this debate with me or argument, however you want to classify it, I'll argue this all day. And all these D1 coaches are talking now about the importance of the portal because they are snatching so many Division II kids. Mm-hmm. So Division II is going into the portal, right? And they're pulling NAIA kids. Are they recruiting more high school kids? That point, I didn't break down. I didn't break down to look at what the high school recruiting ratio is between Division II and Division I. But I know Division I, if you are not a 4 or 5 star kid and you are not immediately ready to contribute within year 1 or year 2, you aren't being recruited. Now, are you at Florida Southern? Are you at Lafayette State? Are you at School of the Blind? Sure, you might still be recruited there, but you're also probably not a 4 and 5 star kid going to those programs.
Yeah.
Right? So they've got time to wait and develop you. If you're a name brand in NCAA football, FCS or FBS, if you're a name brand, you are not waiting. You are not taking a kid that is that much of what's considered a project, and we've got a lot of work to do and a lot of development to do. You're not taking that kid. You're going to the portal. You're getting a D2 kid. You're getting an NAIA kid. You might be getting a Division I kid that's playing in a smaller organization, that's playing at a smaller school that, he just needs a different atmosphere, a different venue to perhaps perform. We're going for depth. We're going for these things. I don't know if they're looking to expand the depth chart or if they're looking for guys to contribute right away, even if it's special teams. But I'm telling you, circling all the way back, the portal is affecting high school recruiting. And I would say significantly. And I've taken a beating. Over it. And I think you're making this too personal. I think you're making this about your own experience with your son or some of the other boys that were on the football team who, crickets, right? There's not a lot of conversation that's happening with a lot of these kids. And I'm here to tell you, you can watch kids play and you can talk to coaches and you can do all that stuff. And when you look at somebody and you see how they play and you see how they perform under pressure or just ordinary game settings, whatever the case is, you can look at a kid and you can say, that kid is kind of a gamer. That kid could do something special. If we can put 30 pounds on him, if we can do this, that kid's a gamer. He's got a high ceiling. I feel like anybody that's associated that has even semi-decent eye for evaluating talent. And I'm not saying that I'm the greatest evaluator of talent, but you can tell when a kid's got that go. You can tell when a kid has that drive and has that ability to do those things. And I'm telling you, they're not looking for that stuff anymore. The portal is destroying high school recruiting. Come at me 1,000 different ways. I do not care. It is destroying it.
What are the arguments saying that it's not? Because I listen to what you're saying and I think about it logically, and I'm like, okay, so let's say I'm a high school recruit. I'm a tight end, right?
Yep.
Coming out of high school, I had a pretty successful high school career, but I'm coming from a small school.
Yep.
Maybe it was a high class South Dakota school, but still, it's not as big as what it would have been had I been playing in Texas or something to that effect.
Yep.
I'm getting actively recruited, but it's not by anybody, major.
It's not where I want to go.
Right.
Yep.
So the reason for that is maybe competition wasn't as good. Maybe I'm better than most of the people in my area just based off of skill position alone and also the talent that's around me.
Strength of schedule is poor.
Right. Yeah.
Talent pool around you is poor.
Right.
Yep.
So now I'm being compared against a kid that has played an entire year of Division II ball.
Yep.
Against bigger, faster, stronger, more talented, and a wider array of students.
Yep.
From across the country.
Right. Bigger pool.
And now you have also played an entire year within a college system.
Yep.
Against college players.
That's the argument. To answer your question.
So as a coach, from a coaching standpoint, if all things are comparable, right? Like if you're looking at it and you're like, okay, well, he's got the same size and they're roughly the same speed, same skill set, but this guy has a year more of experience than this one does.
Yep.
Why wouldn't I do this? Isn't this the Trinidad Chambliss argument for Ole Miss?
Could be. I think it's...
Pick him up at a D2, you see the talent that he's got, but then also the experience that he had while playing down there versus trying to do the Arch Manning thing where you bring him along for a couple of years and then hope by the time that he's ready to start that he's ready and willing to be able to take on that role, even though that you saw that he clearly wasn't until the tail end of the year. So now Texas is a year behind where they want to be. And
that's the argument that's getting thrown in my face predominantly is why wait? Why wait? Why put in the time? Why have to wait the additional year or 2 years? When I got a kid, you say tight end, right? I'm looking at a tight end that's 195 pounds coming out of high school versus a kid that's sitting at 2.25, 225 at Division II level. Why wait? I've got the guy that's got the size. I've got the guy that I feel can maybe more readily contribute sooner, right?
But isn't that validating your argument, though?
What? That's what they're coming at me with.
But that's validating what you're saying, though. You're saying that because of that reason, because of transfer portal and the opportunity to take a more experienced D2 player, they're not going to wait the extra year to bring in the high school player. Therefore, it's basically firming your argument that it's ruining high school recruiting.
Correct. Right.
So I don't see the correlation there as to how they're telling you that you're wrong or you're in your feelings when if that's the argument against you, it does nothing but strengthen your argument, in my opinion.
Correct. Thank you. because a handful of people say that I'm making this too personal, that it's my own situation. It's not my
because
own situation.
you can agree that yes, why wait if I can get a similar player with more experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes sense from a coaching standpoint. If it's apples to apples, but this apple is more ripe, why wouldn't I eat the more ripe one?
One could look at it that way, sure. I would also look at a number of different factors that I would look at. If you're diving into the portal, one, why are the players in there? Why are they in there? And maybe I went over this on a previous episode. How much valuable playing experience? How many actual minutes did they log the year before? Why are they in the portal? Why are they there? Are they the big frog? You know, that was a big frog in a little pond in high school, and all of a sudden they get to college level and the talent around them is increasingly better and all that stuff, and all of a sudden they're no longer the big frog. Now they're the tiny frog in a huge pond, and that's too much for their ego. Why are they in the portal to begin with? Is it financially driven only? Don't know. Is it because they didn't get the playing time that they felt they deserved? Not necessarily earned, but what they deserved. I don't know. Why are they in the portal? If you're looking at the high school kid, you're looking at a kid that generally, if you're looking at a high school kid, you're not very often are you looking at a one-sport kid, right? You're looking at multiple sports, whether he's a two-sport or a three-sport kid. Kids in smaller schools, oftentimes, if they're involved in the football team, they may also play basketball. They may also run track. They may start the season not on the football team, but they might start on cross country. They might then go into basketball. They might then go into track. You're looking at a three-sport athlete.
Right.
In smaller schools, more so than the larger schools. I get that. Don't know what the numbers are, don't care. You get the kids, you get these multi-sport athletes. So if football is their primary sport, and they know if I want to play at the next level, size, speed, strength, all matters. What do I need to do to get those things? I've got to train my ass off. However, the kid that's a three-sport athlete versus the kid that is football only, the kid football only gets to spend the entire offseason in a weight room doing training, weight training, adding weight, doing all that, right? The three-sport athlete now, specifically moving from football to basketball, you don't train during the basketball season the way that you would train if you are not playing a sport and or you are just trying to bulk up and put on weight.
Yeah.
So that's a disadvantage for them. Moving into track, you don't train the same way that you would if you're getting ready. And this is common sense, right? This isn't anything new and earth-shattering and anything like that. But you don't train the same way. If you take the high school kid over the Division II kid that's got 25 more pounds and he's already got a year of college football, you're looking at a high school kid who oftentimes has not been awarded the opportunity yet to really hone in on a training regimen, with a nutritionist, with a dietitian, with the right diet, with all of these other factors where they live, eat, and breathe football and training and everything that goes into that. So I make the argument when they come at me and they say, well, why would you wait? Why would you wait? Because if you've got a kid with a high ceiling that's coming out of high school and they haven't been awarded this opportunity to do this and do this training, the Division II kid's already doing it, right? Not very often are they playing multiple sports in college. You know, you might get a football player, track player, or a javelin thrower who, you know, is a tight end kid or whatever the case is, but it's not very often. Those kids are already awarded that. They've got a year, if not more.
Yeah.
I got the right diet, hopefully. I got a dietitian. I got a nutritionist. I got a strength and conditioning coach. I've got all this. I've got my plan laid out. High school kid hasn't been awarded that yet. You see a ceiling on the high school kid, you give him that opportunity to go in and get that acclimation and get all of those things that I just mentioned. Their ceiling might go even higher. They could surpass in a year of having that afforded to them. They could be significantly more of a contributing factor or a higher ceiling than to the Division II kid that you just rolled the dice on and you took out of that program.
Yeah.
They could be that person.
Yeah.
It then comes back to me, well, that's just a what if. That's just a what if. It's all a what if.
Well,
everything you're telling me is a what if. If you go and get the
that's
divisions,
everything up to the NFL draft.
It is.
I mean, you don't know what these players are going to be for 3 or 4 years, depending on how things on a roll of the dice. I mean,
correct.
Look at the two quarterbacks playing in the Super Bowl right now, especially with Sam Darnold.
Exactly.
People had called him a bust and written him off and all this other stuff. And I mean, here we are, however many years later, 8 years later or whatever it is, and he's playing complimentary football, very competent football, and he's got an opportunity to win a championship as the starting quarterback of an NFL team. So I mean, it's all a big what if game. Nobody knows anything. All we know is that we know nothing until you can see what it is. It's a big guessing game.
Correct.
That's all it is. And I see both sides of this coin for sure. I mean, I see the argument that you're making. I also see the argument that they're making. I think there's a lot of schools that could actually benefit from doing both if you can find a way to blend the two together to fill in gaps that maybe you lost that you're not willing to take the time on.
Yeah.
But then also maybe use other positions like maybe a quarterback position or linebacker or whatever, some of those that are maybe a little bit more cerebral that you need to be the general of both sides of the ball, where you can tailor those kids to come up and fill those roles in the way that you want them to. Now, the other side of that is if you can get them to stick around.
Oh, thank you, because that's the point I was going to make. Statistics and data is now, it's starting to come about. Kids who enter the transfer portal, what is the percentage of that population who enters the portal once re-entering the portal? So let's take Division II kid, let's move into a Division I program, right? Thank you for coming. Here you go. We're going to give you $50,000 in NIL, whatever it is, and you're going to be on punt return. That's what you're going to do for us. If you want to be a member of this team, we're going to have you practicing with everyone, and you're going to be on the punt return. Kid then says, I ain't no punt return, dude, and I'm better than that. I deserve more playing time. Stats are now coming around and being developed for entry number 1, and how many of that percentage is going re-entering the transfer portal, right? Are you going to get that from a high school kid? You're not generally going to get that from a high school kid. Most of these kids who are entering the portal are kids who have been at a program for 2 years. At least that's what the internet tells me. They're generally at a school for 2 years before they're jumping into a portal. If not for, and I know there's a bunch of factors, you're right. Coaching change, coaching fire, coach takes the job somewhere else, whatever the case is. That coach is the one who recruited me out of high school. I know, weird, recruit somebody out of high school, weird freaking idea anymore. But that's the coach that recruited me, and he's now stepping on to a bigger, better place. I'm going to go with him. So I'm going to enter the portal. But a majority of the kids entering the portal have given said program at least 2 years before they're making that determination to jump. Because when you watch all this stuff and you watch these kids entering the portal, they always follow it up with 2 years of eligibility remaining, 1 year of eligibility remaining, whatever the case is. So my argument is, get the kid out of high school. Give him all these things. Let's see what happens, because he's likely to stick around. And Anthony will vouch for this, Ryan. Anthony should vouch for this. He played college football, as did I. I think anybody who was ever around a fall camp, you understand. You go in with X number of kids, and I think NCAA has capped it now at 102 or 103, whatever it is. You can have so many heads, so many jerseys, whatever. You go into fall camp. I entered with 34. 34 freshmen went in with me for camp. And I'm telling you, day one, we take off, we go to the Golden Corral for lunch. We got to come back and we get about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then we got to go into film study, right? While we're on our way back from lunch and we're kind of lounging around doing our thing, waiting to go to film study, you're watching 2 or 3 kids with big old duffel bags and they're making their way to the parking lot, right? They're on their way. They're done. They're washed. They're out. Day number 2, day number 3, day number 4, same thing. All of a sudden, whoop, there go 4 more kids. And you're 34. By the time fall camp is done, a week and a half or 2 weeks later, your 34 is down to 18 because the kids wash, right? That's what's going to happen regardless. If you take your chance on a high school kid and he decides, I'm going to stick this out and I'm going to ride for this and I'm going to be loyal to the program, I want to play at this level, this is where I want to be. They're going to ride that out. And if they don't, they wash out. Right? They're either going to do the work and earn what they've been asked to earn, or they're going to wash themselves out. One or the other is going to happen. Right? The mediocre kid that's just there because I just want to be a part of something. In today's football, they're not going to stick around just to be a part of something. That's not how it works. Playing time is the thing. Financial is the thing. The ego is the thing. So all this stuff about you're making it personal and da-da-da, and why wait for the kid? Why wait for the high school kid to develop? Bullshit. Give me, I'm not anti-portal. I'm not saying you can't go to the portal and you can't fill depth and you can't fill whatever. We got 2 middle linebackers. We need that third guy who's ready to go if 2 guys blow an Achilles or something happens during the season. academic ineligibility, whatever. We got to have a guy ready to go. That's fine. But let's open up our roster a little bit for developmental guys. I mean, they redshirt for a reason, right? The redshirt is available for a reason. It's for kids to come in, get your studies right, get your bond going, get your rapport going with your other teammates, get your diet right, get your weight training routine in. Like, you're going to redshirt. You're a crash test dummy your entire first year. You're going to come out and practice. You're going to get beat to shit. You're going to get knocked around. You're never going to put on pads on game day, nor are you probably going to travel with the team, but you're a part of the team. And this is your time to develop. By the time you come out, your redshirt year, your sophomore, whatever it is, now let's see what you got. Now you're competing for a position. Now you're competing for a spot on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Let's open that pool up. That's all I'm asking. Let's open that pool up, because how many kids are officially redshirted in a Division I or Division II program anymore? I don't know the number. Generally, when you pull up their roster, you see all the numbers, you see all the positions, and then all of a sudden you see RS. Some have 10, some have 15, whatever the case is. Open the pool. Develop some damn kids. Use the portal all you want for your depth and whatever you need. But I'm telling you, more people, more of the programs are diving. They are spending way more time with scouting, recruiting, going to homes, visiting with people, visiting with all these people in the portal than they are the high school kids. And recruiting has changed. Man, the days of coaches coming around, talking to you, coming to your basketball games, watching you, doing all that stuff. No. Anymore, it's social media. It's what do we see? What are we reading in the papers? What are we reading on social media? What do we know about this kid? There is the contact standards, the manner in which they follow, with quotes, follow these kids is very, very different now. And I get it. It's because of technology. We get to do that, right? We can just sit down now for the 6 hours that we sit behind our desk. We can sit down. We can just go to South Dakota and we can type in huddle highlights, and we can start watching huddle film on all these different kids. We may never speak to them. We may never try to find them on social media. We may never reach out to them at all. We can just sit and watch everything that's being put up there by the kids who are ultimately recruiting themselves. But I've taken a beating on the portal, and I've gotten long-winded about it. My apologies. I'll stop now. But I've taken a beating over the portal is not affecting high school recruiting, and I am going to argue until the day that I die, it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, and I don't know. I tend to agree with you when it comes to, like, you know, it's all right. You can be on the team, you can take your lickings, and then have your opportunity in a year or two type of thing. Like, from a morality standpoint, from a you got to earn your way type of thing, from a parent standpoint, I think it's all very virtuous and something that you would definitely recommend a lot of kids to do. But I think things have changed. I think entitlement, I think a lot of different things within how players view themselves, some ways in a good way, some ways in a bad way. They don't think that they need to go through that type of slog for them to play, for them to earn their spot. They think that they've already earned it just by being a human being that exists on this planet.
Yes.
And I'm you know, probably going to get on my soapbox a little bit here, but I think that has bled its way not only into sports, but I think into every nook and crevice of our entire community, where it's this age of entitlement. Like, you're just do something because you exist and you're a person.
Earn, turn to deserve.
Yeah. Goes back to our conversation about, and some of you might not like it, but it goes back to our conversation about the WNBA.
Yes.
You get what you earn.
Correct.
And you deserve what you earn. And so it's like, all right, what did you do to deserve this?
Correct.
Okay.
That's the thing. Earn has officially turned to deserve.
Yeah.
I deserve this. I deserve this. And I say it with my kids. I say it with
and while I agree
many
with you,
people.
It's just not a thing that exists. You have these really entitled. I mean, and some of these parents are feeding into it too. Like, you deserve more. You got to go get yours. You got to go get better. And I understand that. That's fine. Like, but have a sense of humility that comes along with it. That you're not going to be given the world the minute you step outside of your little box.
Yeah.
Just because you think X, Y, and Z. I think you should go do all of those things, but the world is going to slap you in the face and tell you that you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to claw and scratch and,
for the most part,
climb your way to it, right?
For the most part.
Yeah. There's a certain small subgroup of people that, you know, are handed more things than others and are given more opportunities because of status or their parents or whatever it might be. I mean, even based on where they were born too, you know, states and Because I mean, if you play football in Texas versus football in North Dakota, your opportunity to get into a better school is going to be greater if you play it in Texas.
Yeah, and I recognize, Ryan.
Yeah.
I fully recognize that there are a plethora of different factors that go into the recruitment of a kid.
Yeah.
From the head coach taking a very active role in advocating for the kid, right? I know that that's a contributing factor. How much is the kid putting himself out there on social media? Is he working with any recruiting agencies, so to speak, right? Because now they're coming out of the woodwork. All these acronyms, NC this, NRS this, I mean, all these little things that say, hey, you get us your stuff and we're going to kick you out to 1,500 different college coaches. You pay them a pretty significant fee for them, for the most part, to do nothing, right? We'll take your money and we're going to kick you out to School of the Blind and we're going to kick you out to these all these different coaches. But there's all these agencies. And I know that's factors, from the head coach to how much they're putting themselves out there on social media, how much are they reaching out in person to schools, how much are they willing to go visit campuses and do all that stuff. I understand those factors. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes right down to NSD, which is National Signing Day, which just happened yesterday, when it comes down to NSD and getting kids on campus and getting kids on your roster, that whole process has changed and it has been damaged. High school recruiting for football and potentially every damn other sport, I'm just talking football, high school recruiting for football has been damaged by the portal because they want quick and easy. I want it now. It's that instant gratification factor. It is, this is a guy we're going to take a chance on. Boom. I'm not going to piss around and I'm not going to wait for this guy to add the weight and do the work and do everything else. Even though in the grand scheme of things, in the end, this kid might ride you out for 5 years and he might be one of the best kids to ever go through your freaking program. Do you know that you're going to get that from the D2 kid in the portal? No, you don't. Do you know you're going to get that from the high school kid? No, you don't. But what kind of character do you want? Do you want the guy that's going to ride that out? Do you want the guy that's going to put in the work? Because I say again, if he's not going to put in the work, he's going to wash himself out anyway. He's going to be gone. Yeah. If he's not meeting the standard and he's not meeting the criteria and he's not doing the work, he's not going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's hard to know who to trust in this situation too. I mean, I look at the situation that happened in Florida with DJ Lagway, where he was the number one QB recruit in the nation. He signs with Florida. He goes there. He stays there for 2 years. He finally gets to start last year, and now he just up and leaves and goes to Baylor. Enters the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Poof, gone.
Yep.
So that's the other side of it, right? Like, they go out, they recruit high quality 4 or 5 star talent from high school. He sticks around for a couple of years, but then by his 3rd year, when you were expecting him to make that leap within your system, he's now gone.
Right, and why are they
So it's like,
leaping?
where's the loyalties at?
Right.
Where do the loyalties lie? I mean, as an organization, do you have a loyalty towards this high school player to actually stick it out till you can use them? Because that would be the other argument, right? Like, it's like, well, if I can just fill these needs with 1-2 year players out of the portal and not have to take this high risk, high reward type of thing with a high school player, then why would I take that risk? But then the high school player is also thinking that same thing too. Like, why should I take the risk hoping, even if I put in the work in, that you're actually going to start me and that I'm not going to get benched for some reason or another, or that you're not just going to hoard all this talent?
Yep.
I mean, you look at it over the years with, the different teams that you're like, wow, how did Oklahoma have those 2 guys at quarterback? Or how did Alabama have those 2 guys at quarterback that both made the NFL?
Right. Right.
Different situations like that. So, I mean, it's hard to know who to trust and what to say. But, I mean, there's also good things that happen with the portal, too. I mean, we sat here a couple weeks ago and just lamented on how much we love Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
And without the transfer portal and those different opportunities that he had throughout that, we would have never gotten what we have right now.
Yep.
With him, playing in the national championship and doing what he did for Indiana and now potentially becoming the number 1 overall pick in the NFL. I mean, it's just like, it opens up opportunities and doors that you would not have for some of those lesser players that aren't getting recruited maybe as heavily. But, I mean, I don't know what the situation is as far as being able to change some of these things. I think this ultimately, it goes back to a conversation we've had for a couple of years now, where it's like there needs to be more commissioner-based rules within the NCAA so that this isn't, number 1, it's not just the Wild West, and number 2, that there can be rules to play with within the confines of the system, and that there are guarantees not only for the programs but for the students as well.
Right.
So, and I don't know what legal things need to happen, but I mean, it would be nice if you were a high school student to go in there and be like, yeah, I'll sign a contract and make sure that I'm here for 3 years.
Right. Right. Because, right.
Versus, hey, I'm a high school student, I'll sign with you. But then after your second year, you're like, I don't know. I see the writing on the wall, and I think I've got a better opportunity to go somewhere else. And then they leave. And so now, as that program, maybe you're a little bit more gun shy about wanting to go to high school recruiting because you've been burned too many times on these kids not making it all the way. You said, yeah, eventually they'll wash out, but there has been some good talent that's just left and gone other places.
So go back to Lagway.
Yeah.
How many years of eligibility does he have remaining in his transfer to Baylor?
I'm at 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he might have redshirted his first year, so he might have 3 left.
Okay.
But I don't know that either because now these guys are petitioning for 6 years.
Correct.
Right? So it's like.
But you watch schools like LSU, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Iowa State. Obviously, they got dismantled in the whole coaching change. But when you look at any of these semi-major branded collegiate teams that didn't have a coaching change, right? And all of a sudden, the average number is between like 26 to 34 kids enter the portal.
Yeah.
Active players on the roster enter the portal. How much playing time did they have? No idea. How many actual minutes of play did they have the year before? No clue. But you see 28 to 34 kids enter the portal. To immediately replace the 28 to 34, what are they doing to replace those numbers?
Yeah.
They're going right back into the portal to replace the numbers.
Yeah.
Right? At the expense of, hey, we got a 2026 recruit sitting over here, or we got 2026 high school recruits sitting over here. 12 of those spots, right? Now we just got to make up X number through the portal. We got to get those guys immediately back in the program. But that's not what they want.
I know. I guess the argument to that would be now they just wait for those high school students that you're talking about to get their licks in Division II, and then if they turn out, then they go take them through the portal now.
There you go.
Right?
So what's happening?
They've just rerouted the way that they get into the program. Right?
And you know the biggest reroute? Junior college.
Yeah.
Junior college, community college, or NAIA programs where kids are getting in, get our feet wet, get our whatever. Hey, we're acclimated. We understand college football, and now into the portal we go.
Yeah.
So do those schools win from that recipe, from that formula? I mean, you think junior colleges may or may not matter. I don't know, but smaller NAIA schools, are they benefiting from that? Hey, we can get some really good high school talent. We got them in here. We can make a run because we're still competitive. NAIA is still competitive college football. Are we going to make a run with this kid?
They're not in the system long enough for them to even make a difference.
That's my point. Again, the portal doesn't just start and stop with the high school. Damage to the high school recruiting.
It's exciting from the moment that they're signed, but then they get recruited again for a second time by either a Division II or a Division I school, and then the NAIA is right back where they were. Right?
Absolutely, and then you get all these people. You got 7,000 kids in the portal, right? And less than a third sign on somewhere else.
Yeah.
What happens to the remaining 2/3 of the kids in the damn portal? Because a lot of these college coaches now, I'll sign off on you entering the portal.
Yeah.
But you ain't coming back.
Yeah.
If you don't get in, if you're here and you don't get into Florida or you don't get into UCF or you don't get into whatever, I'm not taking you back. So whatever contract we had or whatever scholarship you were earning or whatever the case is, it's gone.
Yeah.
2/3 of those kids never get picked up, right? And how many times do you see, I entered the portal at Penn State. I was at Penn State on their roster. I entered the portal, and now I'm going to Temple.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to University of Louisiana Lafayette. Yeah. They're going backwards, right? So are they going backwards because they're happy with maybe getting more playing time? Are they going backwards because I got to land somewhere? I got to play football. I got to do something. I got to land somewhere. I mean, how many really golden opportunities is this creating for these kids to go do something better? Go to some place that they consider better place.
They don't care about that.
They don't.
They don't. I mean, it's a business. It's all being run like a professional sports business.
Yep.
Under the tagline of the fact that it's not.
Correct. And
they're
in
still
the end,
using it as they're still calling them students. They're still calling them kids. They're still doing all this other stuff while they're profiting. I mean, you want to talk. I know that they're getting compensated and they're getting, college degrees and education and NIL money and all this other stuff. But I mean, it's a different form of like trafficking in a way. Like, I don't want to get like too extreme into it, but it's like you're just using these kids is all you're doing to benefit a higher purpose. Some of them end up benefiting from it, but it's like then there's these other subgroup of kids that are never going to get an opportunity or whatever. You've taken them out or the whole thing is ugly. Like there needs to be more parameters within it, right? I mean, it's just
There's a pretty high percentage of those kids that come away with no education.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have their high school education, but they come away with no college education.
Well, I mean, we look at some of these guys that make the NFL, and you're like, wow, it's really good you were talented, because I don't know what you would do otherwise.
Yeah, you better make the most of your next 8 to 12 years.
Yeah.
And you better put stuff away, and you better do whatever, because falling back on whatever you had before, there's not a lot to fall back on.
And I don't mean to
that's not offensive.
Yeah.
That's not. I'm not making fun of people. I'm telling you that when the blinders go on and they get driven in one damn direction only, and we don't think about a fallout plan or a fallback plan or any of that stuff, you see a lot of dudes in trouble when their professional careers or whatever come to an end and they have nothing.
Yeah. Well, they don't know how to budget their money. They don't know what to do. It's all of that. I mean, my dad and I were talking about this specifically with some of the Packer secondary guys, and I'm like, honestly, dude, I think because he's a high cerebral guy. Like when guys don't do simple things or things that make sense to him on the football field, he goes crazy. It just like he can't understand it, and it drives him nuts. And it's one of those things where it's like you got to settle down. Okay, like, you know what I mean? But
I thought I was going to get that from you about 10 minutes ago.
But it's one of those things where like it drives him so crazy that he just can't wrap his brain around how you can be that stupid in certain situations.
Yeah.
And it was during the Chicago game in the playoffs where I looked at him and I went, do you realize that these guys probably aren't as smart as you are? And that's okay. Like they're incredibly talented. They're in the top 1% of athletes in the world. But that doesn't mean that they have what they need between the ears to be able to consistently make plays or to see things develop or to do whatever it is that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think then you have a certain subgroup of players that have both. They have the immense talent, plus they have the intelligence to be able to read, react, and do what they need to do by recognizing certain things.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be offensive at all. And if I am, I don't really care because it's just the truth. We go through life and you meet people within your life and go, man, that guy's really talented in this area, but he's an idiot when it comes to this.
Yeah.
And
potentially never satisfied. Yeah. Potentially the one that's going to move on to something greater and greener and yes. Yes.
But then you look at some of these players in the NFL where you're like, my goodness, that guy's fast and he's got great hands, but he can't understand coverages to save his life. He always he's running routes or he's doing something wrong all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason he continues to make the roster is because he's just pure raw talent.
Athletic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they can use that.
Yeah. And sooner or later they say, well, the athletic upside isn't worth not being coachable and not being able to actually coach him and train him.
Right. But then you look at the guys on the inverse of that, right? Like you look at the Tom Brady's of the world where you're like, man, that guy athletically, a turd. Like he's just an average bro, right? But between the years, being able to recognize it, not only that, but lead men, like be able to lead them where they want to go and have people follow him. That's a completely different set of attributes, right?
Yeah. How many times, and maybe years ago when you were younger, how many times did you always hear people talk about, and I'm going to take middle linebacker as the position.
Yeah.
How many times did you watch a game and you hear the announcers talking about the middle linebacker? He's undersized. He's slow. He's not built like this guy. He doesn't have the speed and the characteristics of this guy. But man, he is always around the pile. He is always around the ball. He's always leading them in tackles, and he doesn't have an athletic bone in his body
right.
that he should ever be able to survive at this level.
Yeah.
But he's always around the ball, and he's a Pro Bowl guy, and he's all this stuff, and he doesn't have 1 ounce of freaking athletic talent compared to a lot of these other dudes.
Yeah.
You used to hear that all the time. Super undersized, super slow, but always around the ball. Had an instinct for football, had an instinct for the ball. He just knew how to make plays.
Yeah.
Right? I mean that's same thing.
Yeah.
Same type of thing.
But to wrap it back around, like you're like, so now some of those kids that maybe don't have those opportunities are being taken away or whatever because they don't have the other attributes that they need to graduate from college or do whatever they need to do. And so the system's taking advantage of it, doing whatever. I don't know. The whole thing's ugly. I wish there was a way to definitely regulate it some more. For sure. I think without the transfer portal and things like that, you don't have what Cignetti did in Indiana. I don't think he's able to do that with that big of a turnaround through older traditional means. But the more that college football becomes like the pros where, and I've said this before too, especially when it comes to my, if you can look at a player like Micah Parsons and you can trade 2 first-round picks for him, two unknowns, right? You have no idea what these 2 first-round picks are going to be, who they're going to turn into, and what could happen with those. It's all just a figment.
We are trusting our scouts on who they're bringing in.
We don't know if they're going to turn out. And we are looking at it historically. Historically, we haven't really been that great at picking, rush talent in the first round historically.
Right.
So if we can sacrifice 2 unknowns for a known thing, that makes more sense to us.
Bigger upside.
So that's what they did. But now college is also doing that too. They're looking at the high school students that you're talking about and going, man, this kid out of Hill City, he's got a lot of great attributes, but I don't know anything about him.
Yep.
I'm watching the tape. I can see all the intangibles and all that other stuff. But what if he gets here and he burns out because he can't understand my concepts or whatever it might be?
Right. We don't want to take the risk on that. We don't want to take the risk on that.
So that stock price is a little bit too iffy for us.
Right.
But we've had our eye on this guy in D2, and I can see all the attributes. And I know the coach personally. The coach is down there in this D2 school, and apparently we run a similar system. He's grasping onto all of it. I think I'm going to take a chance on him.
Yep. We don't really care why he's in the portal.
Exactly.
What drove him to the portal. We don't really care about what may be going on that drove him into the portal. Why he doesn't. If you've got this relationship with your coach and you like the scheme and you're a part of it, and a coach can speak so highly of you because, hey, he's doing a good job and he's got a ceiling and he's got all this stuff, then why is he in the portal?
Yeah.
We don't care about that. We're not going to take the risk on the high school kid
because it's a business.
Correct.
They don't care, and that's really
my
the crux
point.
That's really at the crux of all of it. Is you're not valuing these kids for who they are, being kids and having an opportunity to not only further their education but grow as human beings in this system that we call sports.
Yeah.
They're just in it to how can we remain relevant to make more money so that we can continue to be where we're at.
Correct.
So
and two things.
It's just like.
2 things to wrap it up. One, it is not becoming like professional sports. It is because this whole thing going on.
When you start paying students millions of dollars to stay there,
or
to go there,
specifically look at what's going on in Duke, with the quarterback at Duke, and he violated the contract. It's ending up in court where we want our money recouped, we want our money back, we want whatever it is. It goes from signatures on a sheet of paper into a contract, into dollar signs, into court process, right? It's going into a court process where the school is going after the student, right? And it's all over sports.
And outside of the income that the school gave him, where is he going to recoup that money? Because you already know it's been spent.
Exactly.
So you're going to come after him for millions of dollars he doesn't have because he's not earning it anywhere else but from you?
Yeah. And you're mad because he doesn't want to play for you.
Right.
So we're gonna take this thing because he violated the contract. It damn near happened up in Oregon.
Yeah.
It almost happened with the kid up in Oregon too. Washington. Sorry, my bad. Washington.
Yeah.
But lastly, I appreciate the banter with the people that brought it to me. One, they're clearly listening to the podcast, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But 2, I'll entertain it because I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm 100% correct in things that I'm saying or how I'm feeling about certain things. I appreciate the banner. I can understand it. If they want to feel so strongly one way and I want to feel so strongly one way, that's all well and good. We're having conversations. No punches are thrown. No names are being called, at least not to my face.
Sure.
I appreciate that. And like I said, it's been a pretty good stockpile of people.
Yeah.
Right? And it's gone from why wait to you're making this personal to get over it to da-da-da. I'm going to watch college football anyway. It's made college football better. And maybe it has. And they're entitled to feel however they feel. But please allow me to feel how I want to feel about the whole thing.
But can't all those... It sounds to me like all those things are true. I don't think anybody's... Honestly, based on everything that I've heard you say, it sounds like everything can be true and that can just be fine.
Absolutely.
I think everything that's been laid out can all play into one another for one reason or another, and I think it can all be factual. It's fine.
And you know what, Ryan?
Because it is like this is just the Wild West of football at this point. They don't know what they're doing, and they're just allowing people to do whatever.
Correct. And I can be an adult on this, and I can tell you that there is a level of this that is in fact personal with me.
Well, why wouldn't it be?
It is personal with me.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because I knew what the process was. I don't know what the new process necessarily is, but I knew what the process was, and I knew that there was a lot of face-to-face, and there was a lot of communication, and there was a lot of talk, right? Yeah. And we didn't have then the things that are available now. But some of this is personal to me because, and it's not just about my son. I watch other kids that are very athletic, that have a desire to play at the next level. And it's easy for us to sit back and say, there is someone that can take a chance on him because he will fit. Somewhere he will fit. And you don't have to go in specifically at this position. We'll find a place for you.
Yeah.
We're a good program. This is where we're thin. We like these attributes about you and this athleticism about you. We're going to try to make this of you. They'll find a place for you. It's just about getting in the front door. And that's the process I don't know right now, is how to get in the front door in the first place.
Yeah, well, I mean,
but some of it is personal. I'll admit it. I will own it.
Why wouldn't it be? Because it's Captain America in the ice, right? Like, you've been away from this stuff for so long, and you finally thaw it out, and you're experiencing it all over again through the lens of your son.
Yeah.
Because you haven't had to deal with this for 25 years.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. And I'm also looking at...
so now, like, the whole landscape of everything has changed. And so what you thought it was, you haven't even thought about it for 20-plus years because you hadn't needed to.
Yeah.
And now you're ankle deep, knee deep in it now, and you're like, whoa, this is way different than what it was before.
Yeah.
So...
But you can sit back and you can look, and I think it happens at every level. I think it does, and some it's just more extreme. But I think you can sit back and look at a high school game versus a college game versus a professional game. You can look at all three levels, and I think let your eyes be your guide. When you stand back and you look and you're like, holy smokes, like that one's a little bit of a cut above the rest. You can see that at every level. High school. I'm not just specifically talking about my kid. I'm just saying you can see it. Kids and or student athletes at college and or professional athletes, when they stand out and they're a cut above the rest, you see them. You notice them. You see things about them and you can notice that type of thing. It's just, what's the game? How do you crack the code? How do you get these people who we feel should be noticed? How do you get them noticed?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that whole process work? But I don't know. Sorry to start it out that way. I mean, we've really gone off for a long time.
I think it's a really good conversation, but I mean, you think about the business that is college football, and I just had to look it up. But college football is a massive economic engine, generating approximately $14 billion in annual revenue.
Yes, and that's only going to go up.
Yeah. So as a sports entity in the world, behind only the NFL at $23 billion, it generates more revenue than the NBA, MLB, English Premier League, and top programs like Texas and Georgia generate over $100 million plus in revenue for their football programs alone.
Yep.
So I mean, it's no wonder kids are getting lost in the transition and all this other stuff.
Well, there's just this I don't give a damn attitude. It's like winning now is what's important.
Yep.
That's it. We've got to put people in the seats. Winning now is important. Coaches have to win to keep their jobs. Coaches have to win to keep their staff. Right? If we want to improve our facilities, if we want a better weight room, if we want more for our student athletes across the board, we've got to win games. We've got to generate the revenue. We got to get the dollars coming in. Like our program has to recruit itself, and our school and our brand has to recruit itself. So winning fixes a lot of problems. So that's where it really all starts and stops.
Yeah.
At the expense of, our kids' feelings going to be hurt. Yep, sure. It always has been that way. That's, it is what it is. But
I was trying to find it here. They said that the University of Texas, their football program alone is worth $2.2 billion. And I was just going to see what that...
Collegiate.
Yeah.
Collegiate.
Yeah. Whereas you look at like Cincinnati Bengals are consistently ranked as the least valuable NFL team by major publications Forbes and Sportico with a recent valuation of $5.25 billion. So you can see they're right there, man. I mean, they're generating it. And I'm honestly surprised it's not more. Just based on merch and the ability to strike down certain T-shirt designs on a small podcast website.
Oh man, I'll tell you. Thank you, Greg Abbott. But I mean, just look at the contracts. Look at the coaching contracts that are going.
Oh
in
yeah,
now.
$10 million a year.
I mean, it's just like this is what we can offer. It's like boom.
Yeah.
I mean, there are NFL coaches. You could argue there are NFL coaches that
the
almost don't make as much as some of these upper tier college coaches.
Well, and the sick part of it is that doesn't include any of these like boosters and people behind the scenes pulling the strings, like they're politicians with a axe to grind, right?
Right.
Like if you're just some wealthy alumni that wants to continue to just push money towards something so that you can get a particular player or keep your program relevant because you can.
Yeah. I mean, say
weird.
your last name is Cuban and you really have a hankering for Indiana football.
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden, hey, look, we found a little extra money here.
Wow.
Found a little money.
Yeah, it's like the mafia mixed with just no laws and all this other crap that you can do where you can just kind of push a little money over here, do a little money over there. I still think the Orgeron comment where he's like, yeah, basically we stopped paying you through the front door now instead of the back door. You know, it's
right.
Like you said the quiet part out loud. We all kind of knew what was going on. Or that video where Shane Gillis is given, and somebody showed me this one, but he was giving Saban a hard time about, and you guys don't pay players either, you know, and Saban couldn't really say anything.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Correct.
It got really awkward after he said that, and it's like, I mean, we all know what's going on, right? And now we can just do it out in the open. It's fine.
It's how you define pay and or compensation.
All right.
How do you define compensation? How are the players being compensated prior to NIL? They're still being compensated.
Yeah.
Families are compensated. You know, maybe it was watches, cars, homes, plane tickets.
And love him or hate him, I still think Manziel had a perfectly good reason to be pissed off about what happened with his situation.
I don't like him, but he did.
Yeah.
But he did.
When they're selling millions of dollars worth of number 2 jerseys in the Texas A&M shop at the stadium, and he's not getting a single dime of that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what number 2 at A&M represents. Okay. All right. Whatever. You imagine if you did that in the NFL?
Who started the whole NIL thing? Was it Northwestern?
It might have
Were
been.
some players up at Northwest? See, they're too damn smart up there.
Yeah.
They're too damn smart.
Yeah.
They got it figured out.
They
Cracked the code.
can't win any football games, but they can sure.
Don't need to. They cracked the code.
Yeah.
It's not about,
Yeah.
Purple.
What an odd choice for just a deep bro. Aren't they like purple huskies or something up there?
Wildcats.
There you go.
Yeah. Purple Huskies.
I don't know. It's either
That's Washington.
It's either a dog or a cat. It's always a dog or a cat.
Jungle Cats. You and Jungle Cats, man. Okay, moving on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, listeners. Just, you know, if you stuck with it that long, I greatly appreciate you. If you didn't, I still appreciate you. It's fine. I think majority of people probably increase the speed when they listen.
Yeah, maybe.
Instead of 1, they go to 1.25, maybe 1.5. One listener in particular likes to speed us up because we sound really funny when we're sped up. And
that's good.
We're grunting and snorting and.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are just a bunch of cavemen with microphones. Yeah. So,
hey, what do you want to talk about? Super Bowl? We have a Super Bowl.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I can talk
is that
about
a big deal?
I can talk about how much I hate the week leading up to Super Bowl, and it hasn't been as bad as it's been in recent years. But you turn on, you know, sports podcasts, or you turn on the radio, and they're all talking about, you know, they start talking about the Super Bowl, and it's, you know, it's basically 2 weeks in between the last game that was played until the Super Bowl is played, and so we just rehash all of these talking points because we have nothing better to talk about, right?
Yeah.
It's just like.
I've been an active follower of the week leading up to the Super Bowl, and this feels a little odd, not having a team playing in it.
Well,
and in full disclosure, as I stated before you pushed record, I have watched nothing.
Well, there hasn't been much to watch. I forced myself to watch a majority of the Pro Bowl game on Tuesday.
Won't do that.
With the flag football thing, just to kind of see if there was anything dumb or if it was just really bad.
Won't do that.
It was very
dumb.
Bland. It was very bland. It wasn't really anything of anything. You know, there was one catch that was made where I was like, oh, wow, that was actually pretty fun to watch. But outside of that, it was nothing. It was nothing mind blowing. It was nothing like, wow, they're really on to something here. You know, the only thing that kept replaying in my head is like, man, how many GMs and coaches are watching this just praying that nobody tears an ACL or
every single one of them? Because
there were some of the guys that are, you know, they're out there jumping and they're sprinting, and I think Jamar Chase did a backflip after he scored, and you know, and the Bengals have a couple players out there, you know, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are both in that game, and yeah. So
a hefty $1 million plus of flag football. Yeah.
So I think the funniest part of the whole thing, and it might just be because I'm a Packer fan, was basically Micah Parsons on his little rascal scooter, and it's a junk scooter too. Like I figured somebody that makes as much money as he does could have maybe afforded a little bit of a nicer scooter, but he's out there just driving his scooter around and hanging out with the guys, and he's driving past the cheerleaders with his camera, filming all of them, and then when he gets to the male cheerleader, he puts his camera down, drives away.
Yeah, but you see cool stories like that. Landon Dickerson gets a new contract, right, for the Eagles?
Yeah.
First purchase, Ryan.
Yeah.
What does Landon Dickerson buy?
I don't know.
First purchase after a contract deal. He goes out and gets this immaculate riding lawnmower.
Oh, nice.
Amazing,
Yeah.
right? His wife's in there taking pictures from the front porch. He's cruising around on his, zero turn, whatever the hell it is thing. He goes out and buys this big old, I guess you can call that a lawn tractor.
Yeah.
It's a lawn tractor, right?
Yeah.
He's out, that's what he's doing.
Okay.
He's out buying a lawn tractor.
Yeah, why not? That's all right.
Micah's got this rundown scooter.
It looked like a hand-me-down or something that he had to rent. It didn't look like something a professional football player that's making $55 million a year would be driving around.
Well, the one that he had bedazzled with all the bling and everything, they wouldn't let him bring it in the stadium.
Yeah, there you go.
So he just had to borrow.
But props to him, man. Like, he wants to be around the guys. He wants to be a part of it, and I think honestly that's one of his better attributes, right? Like, he's this big physical specimen, and he impacts the game in a way that few guys can. But he wants to be one of the guys. Like, he wants to be a part of it. So he's there at a meaningless Pro Bowl flag football game.
Can't discredit that.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun. But outside of that, nothing really crazy. We're not into the best part of college football yet, or college basketball, excuse me. The NBA won't really start to ramp up until after today, which is the NBA trade deadline. There was a couple of trades that were made, and the Giannis Antetokounmpo stuff was kind of fun to watch for a while, but they just announced, the Bucks did, that they're not actually going to trade him until the offseason, if that's going to even happen. So
was there talk of him going to the T-Wolves?
Huge, man. So
my son was on fire.
Yeah, so as a big Timberwolves fan myself, like, I was kind of watching things last night, seeing what was going to happen into the morning and stuff like that, and they were pursuing him hard, but I think the thing that hung them up was the fact that I think the Bucks really wanted Jaden McDaniels in the conversation. Okay. And McDaniels is one of the premier defensive players, and he's probably the second best player on the team. And he's probably Ant's best friend on the team. If not, Ant always talks about who's your favorite player. He's like, that's Jaden. Jaden's my favorite player. Yeah. So I think that was a non-negotiable, and I think it was the right thing, because I was having a hard time with it where I'm like, man, Giannis is a great player, right? But he's 31. He's on the wrong side of 30. His game isn't going to age well.
He misses a lot of games, I feel.
Yeah. As much as I would like him to be with Ant and have a better opportunity of them winning a championship, I don't want to do that at the expense of losing Jaden.
Right.
Because I just think he's that good.
Brenson was firing off a bunch of names.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, for Giannis to come over, T-Wolves would have to give up. And he was rattling off a bunch of names. And then there's a couple, and he's like, oh, they can get rid of him. And they can get rid of him. Because he follows it a lot more than I do. But he was on fire about it. And it was my wife, for whatever reason, we watched the little Giannis documentary or whatever it was.
Yep.
And my wife is just a big fan of Giannis.
Yeah, he's a nice
guy. The Greek background.
He's got a great story.
He does, and she loved the story, and she fell in love with the story, and she follows Giannis. So when my son comes running up the steps, he's like, Dad, Giannis, T-Wolves.
Yeah.
My wife is actually like, what? Wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
The guy from Milwaukee? Like my wife, right? Who doesn't generally follow some of this stuff.
Yep.
It broke into a conversation. My son's on fire, and he's like, oh, they got to do that. And then he started seeing the names that were potentially in the trade, and then he's like, oh, but he's a good player, and he's a role player, and he does this, and this. It was fun to watch that part of it.
Yeah. It's a tough situation for the Wolves because they have no draft capital. They gave up four first-round picks to get Rudy, which has turned into whatever. It probably wasn't that great of a trade, but, Rudy's been a fine defensive player, and it is what it is at this point. The team, I believe, and I think most people would agree, with back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances, they are good enough to get over the hump and potentially win. So it's like, how do you break up that core that's got you there twice, right? And you've only really cycled out a couple of guys here and there. You've basically just swapped out Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle, and you add a guy like DiVincenzo, who's a better 3-and-D guy than who you had there before with Kyle Anderson. So it's like, all right, cool. But, you don't have any draft picks to give up. Do you give up a bunch of role players and a couple starters to get Giannis, who might only have like 2 or 3 good years left in him, but then you've got no depth? Could you end up being worse after that? So I think they were really trying to find a way to keep that core 5 intact, or 4, excuse me, and add Giannis to make it a legit 5. And I don't think there was any way for them to do that legitimately.
Yeah.
So that, and I didn't think, God is good, but he wasn't going to grant me both Micah Parsons and Giannis in the same year. So that would have been pretty crazy. But yeah, that was that's kind of been what's going on within sports. That we're I think pitchers and catchers end up reporting next week, so we're about to get into baseball.
That is true.
Which is kind of fun, and the weather's going to start turning, so there's got to be a lot of excitement for that.
Start that 162 game venture.
It's a slog, man. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be interested to see kind of how some of these, especially how what could potentially be the last year of baseball for a few years, because I think we're headed to a lockout, and it's something that I think is really interesting to talk about. But before we get on to that, I just kind of want to touch on the Super Bowl real quick, and then we can touch on the MLB and then close it out.
Yeah.
But so you were talking about Chiefs aren't in it, right? And so there's been a bunch of jokes. It's like, you couldn't live with the fact that I was a champion, so where do you come back to? You come back to me, and it's the whole Thanos joke, and it's the Patriots again, right?
Right.
Just so happens to be the Patriots. And I'm kind of looking over social media, and I'm looking around at different friends, and I'm trying to find anybody who's not a Patriots fan that wants the Patriots to win. Are you somebody that wants the Patriots to win?
No.
I don't think there's a lot of people out there that want the Patriots to win for multiple reasons. You know, like, the only one that I could really come up with is the fact that I like Mike Vrabel.
Thank you.
I like Mike Vrabel, and if he won, that'd be great. But then the other side of it is they would then, as a franchise, have 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but see, so I spoke too soon on that. Do I want the Patriots to win? I really don't. I can't say no. I can't be so quick to say no because, quite frankly, I don't care for the Seahawks.
But why?
I just from the days of Beast Mode and Russell Wilson.
But those
guys
aren't there. They're not there.
I know. And
it was the whole conversation I was hearing on the radio the other day of like, yeah, there's some animosity between, like, they've got an axe to grind because of the way that this Super Bowl played out the last 2 times these teams played in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, none of these guys were there. It's not even the same team.
Yeah. I think mine might be a little bit of a screw you. In terms of, Tennessee moved on from Vrabel because, he's stagnant and this is his scheme and it's not going to win in the NFL. So the Titans, they did their Vrabel experiment with him, and he had Derrick Henry and he had some pieces in place, and he always had a tough team, right? But he was never that team that was going to make a big push into the playoffs. And they kind of let go of him and said, we're going to move on. We're going to get youthful. We're going to try something different. And he goes over to New England and he brings that same philosophy with him to New England, and it works with what he's got, right? He's allowed the time to put his pieces in place and bring his scheme and bring his game plan in, and it works. And he gets to play. Now, granted, again, you got the naysayers. They had the easiest schedule in the league, and they didn't have to play anybody, and they had the best road to get to the Super Bowl, and they had injuries falling their way, and everything else. You can make all the excuses you want. I shouldn't be so quick to say I don't want the Patriots to win it because I actually do like Vrabel. I do like what he brings. He's kind of the old school guy, right? He brings that old school mentality, not a lot of fluff, not a lot of this or that. It's just pretty much play hard, do your role, do your job, be a part of our system, and let's go win some football games. And he brings that.
Yeah.
So I have to appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of going to be a stinker. I think Seahawks win by 3 scores. When it's all said and done.
It seems like the Patriots offense has kind of sputtered a little bit over the course of the last couple of weeks. I mean, if not for C.J. Stroud's historic implosion, I don't think the Patriots even make it out of the first round.
Very possible.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a conversation that we had where it's like, dude, everybody's talking about, they're giving the Texans a bunch of crap about their vaunted defense and all this other stuff. And I look at it, I watched that game. They were every bit the vaunted defense that they were made out to be.
Yes.
Their quarterback was bad.
They were on the field
historically
too damn much.
Bad.
Yes.
I mean, May had 4 fumbles plus another 4. Well, no, Drake May had 4 fumbles.
Drake May. Yeah.
He had 4 fumbles that 2 were recovered, and then I think another 2 interceptions or something. They forced like 5 turnovers.
Yes.
And still lost the game because their
everything
quarterback
they
gave up another. Yeah. So, you look at that, and then they didn't play very well in Denver. I mean, it's another great defense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you could make the argument that Denver kind of played their way out of that game too. When you kind of look at the different decisions that were made. I mean, it was the 4th down play with Stidham where they tried to roll out to the right and get that first down, and I'm like, it's too early. You should have taken the field goal. That's going to come back to bite you. And they left 9 points on the board.
Well, the fact that you even have to say Stidham was a big factor.
Right.
Big factor.
So, yeah, there are, again, we've talked about this before. To be successful, yes, it's a mixture of skill and a little bit of luck.
A lot of luck.
Sometimes you got to be lucky, and you mentioned their schedule. This is something that I saw on NFL on NBC. I'm going to read off the team, and you tell me if their coach is still there.
Hey, this is a game. I like this.
Okay.
I like this.
Yeah. So this is the Patriots' schedule for this season. Okay, I'm going to go all the way through their schedule. You tell me if their coach is still there, and you count the number of coaches that are actually still active from the Patriots' schedule that they played. Okay?
Okay.
Raiders.
Nope.
The Dolphins.
Nope.
Steelers.
Nope.
Panthers.
Did they can their guy?
They did not.
They did not. He's still there.
Yep, they made the playoffs. They made a little bit of noise.
Oh, yeah. The under 500 team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bills.
Nope.
Saints.
Still there.
Correct. Titans.
Oh, he got canned.
He did.
Gone.
Browns.
Gone.
Falcons.
Gone.
Buccaneers.
Gone.
Well, they actually fired their OC.
Who the hell was their coach?
Todd Bowles.
Yeah. Isn't he gone?
No, I think he's still there.
Oh, they kept Bowles.
Yeah.
Roger that. So it was Raheem Morris.
OC and special teams are
Raheem
gone.
Morris went. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, who was the Falcons coach.
Roger that.
Yep. Jets.
Gone. Oh, no, he's there.
He's there, but they fired their OC and their DC.
And Aaron doesn't really want to be there anymore.
Aaron Glenn?
Yeah, he doesn't really want to be there. He said it's a shit show. He came out and said that everything going on within that organization is a shit show.
Shocking.
So shocking that he still has his job based on making. Yeah. Anyway.
The Bengals.
Yeah. Still there. Shouldn't be, but is.
Yeah. Giants.
Nope.
Bills.
You went through them already.
I know, but they play them twice.
So process of elimination. No.
Yeah. Ravens.
No.
Yeah. And then you have the Jets and the Dolphins again.
No.
So,
yes and no.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. There's only 4.
3. Yeah.
4.
Yeah. 3 that did not fire either their head coach or their OC or their DC. So the Panthers, the Saints, and the Bengals are the only 3 on the list that did not fire any of their coaching staff.
Wow.
Everybody else on that list either fired their head coach or 2 other coaches on staff.
That is not a good endorsement.
So, I mean, it's stuff like that keeps popping up all over the place where, the Patriots' path to the Super Bowl was they played the 7-2 Dolphins twice. They played the 8-9 Panthers. They played the 6-11 Saints, the 3-14 Titans. They did play competitive games against the Bills, but then it was the 5-12 Browns, the 8-9 Falcons, the 8-9 Bucks. They played the Jets twice, the Bengals who were 6-11, the Giants who were 4-13, and the Ravens who were 8-9.
Well, they played the Raiders as well, right? 3-win team.
Yes, and then you add in the quarterbacks that they played in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert behind a non-existent offensive line.
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud, who we just talked about, who apparently has just turned into nothing, and Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah.
So
pretty favorable.
Yeah, it's been and I don't want to. You got to play the schedule that you're given. All that stuff.
Yep.
I think Cowherd was talking about the other day, where I think the last 10 Super Bowl champions or something like that, their strength of schedule has ranked in the 10 lowest.
Yeah.
So that definitely helps you, right? Get some wins, some stuff like that. So now on the flip side of it, you can definitely make a good argument that they played good defenses as well. When you look at the Texans, you look at the Broncos, and now you look at the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks, they're just very well rounded on every side of the ball.
It's kind of a factory.
Yeah.
Is it bad? Is it bad? And you can tell me. You can be honest with me, Ryan. Is it bad? I'm still kind of waiting for Sam Darnold
to show up. To revert into what he was.
It's bad, right? I mean, hasn't he earned it? Hasn't he earned me getting off his back a little bit?
I think
at this
so,
point?
for
He's
sure.
going to the Super Bowl, right? But what if he does? What if he comes out and the real Sam Darnold shows up and he has an absolute stinker?
Here's the thing, though. I think this team is perfectly put together for him not to have to be that version.
They don't have to rely on him.
He can just
manage it.
Man, and I've talked about this all the time. Just be the reason we don't lose.
Yeah.
Don't be the problem.
Just don't be the reason we lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, don't be the reason we lose. So it's like, just take care of the ball, do what you're supposed to do. We got a great run game. Kenneth Walker sucked for fantasy, but now he's a friggin' workhorse when it comes to the playoffs, which is what you need to win. Defense and running the football.
Yep. And this is not a told you so. I'm not waiting for a told you so moment. I just have zero. Just driving over here.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I still feel that the real Sam Darnold is going to show up? Why do I feel that way? The guy's earned it.
Yeah.
He's earned me not to feel that way.
I think he's going to be okay.
Because you're a bad person, Kelly.
Yeah. He might have a little bit of a shaky first quarter, kind of getting settled in and doing whatever. But
right, and then he comes out and throws 3 touchdowns.
Right,
and then I'm done. Then I'm done talking.
Yeah, but I can't find a ton of people that are rooting for the Patriots. It's just kind of the same old hat again, right? I personally don't want them to have 7 Super Bowls as a franchise and be alone at the top there. That doesn't sound very tantalizing to me. I do like Mike Vrabel, so if they won, that would be all right. But my main rooting interest would be for the Seahawks. And for one in particular, for this guy right here, Gray Zabel, rookie offensive lineman. Why, Kelly? Because he's from Pierce, South Dakota.
He is.
He's a homegrown South Dakota boy.
Sure is.
And he's pretty darn good at what he does.
He's a big man.
And I pulled his rookie card the other day. And so for self-serving interest, it would also be nice if he won a Super Bowl, so this card would go up a little bit in value.
He is early enough in his career, Ryan, where if you pull him up on social media, it will say all business inquiries, send to whatever. I bet you could get that signed.
Interesting.
I bet you can get that signed.
That would be pretty cool.
It would be cool.
I'll write him a note and be like, hey, I'm Ryan from South Dakota.
He's early enough.
Yeah.
He's early enough where he still sees his fans as not just little people.
Yeah.
He might sign that for you.
That'd be pretty cool. I'll have to look into that.
Do it.
Yeah. That's fun. But yeah, pulled that the other day, was pretty excited about it. There was a couple people, in my friends group that was like, I had no idea he was from Pierre. Yeah, he's from Pierre, man. Born and raised, So that's kind of one rooting interest for me. That and the fact that I'm like, whatever. I don't really care if the Seahawks win and get one more Super Bowl. Not a big deal.
That Pierre team was stacked too.
They're always stacked. They're very good.
They were.
I think one of their quarterbacks he was a backup at Ohio State or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
now he's Louisville.
There you
go. Keenholz.
Yeah, exactly.
Keenholz.
Yep.
I played college football with his dad.
Wow, you're old.
Fun fact. Fun fact. Look at this. You know what? Okay, please. I don't know why I'm so giddy about this right now, but you brought it up several episodes ago about you're only X number of people removed from somebody famous, blah, blah,
it's
whatever
7 degrees of separation.
Okay,
right?
there you go.
Yeah.
Right? Trey Lance.
Yep.
I played college football with his dad.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Weird.
Yep.
Keenholz, who's not NFL guy, but could be an NFL guy,
Sure.
right? But he was a big thing
in
South Dakota, went to Ohio State, did all that, played college football with his dad. Right? So it's like I was kind of right there. I was kind of right there around greatness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Or greatness waiting to be created.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to take a little ownership.
It was like you were in the
that.
room for the conception,
I was.
Just kind of
well,
standing
I mean, I don't
awkwardly
know that I was.
in the closet waiting for things to develop.
When I'm seeing 6 foot tall Papa Smurfs and I'm going to leave that right there. Anyway, I want to take a little ownership for that.
Blue Man Group
might have been around the greatness.
Oh man, so yeah, I mean, games on Sunday. It's gonna be you got a spread going. You gotta make some food. What are you doing?
Sadly, I have to reveal this. Either I haven't been listening to my wife because maybe she has potentially talked about that, or we just haven't really talked about anything that we're going to do. A little bit. I'm going to go with the second one. I think we've been a little bit ho-hum, caught up in some basketball games, caught up with some sickness, caught up with trying to catch up with life and that type of thing. So I don't think we've actually talked about it yet.
Yeah.
It won't take long to figure out because we generally get some really solid input from the kids. Sometimes pizza's the go-to, sometimes wings are the go-to. Just made the 7-layer dip, but we hammered that baby down in about 3-4 days, so that's gone.
You don't make that 4 days in advance.
No, it wasn't meant to last that long, and it didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll get into that. I think they're gonna enjoy some downhill skiing this weekend, leading up to the old Super Bowl. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Nice.
It won't take long.
That's good. Yeah, I think we're just gonna do your typical Super Bowl foods. You got your chips and dip and your wings, maybe some sliders. Just some snacky stuff. Any excuse I get to turn on the Traeger for a little bit is always a good one.
Yeah, mine burned up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, just have the family over. I think it's my parents' 29th wedding anniversary or something like that. That day
hey,
too,
that's fun. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I was talking to her about it yesterday, and she's like, "Yeah, next year's 30." She's like, "I feel like that's a pretty big friggin' deal." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is, considering today's culture." So. I was like, you guys are either really in love or you're really stubborn.
Yeah, I never thought anybody would put up with me longer than 20.
Yeah.
Much less 15.
I mean, I've put up with you for over 80 episodes. So.
We're about 90, aren't we?
I think this is 86.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. No quiet quitting. Here I am.
We will not go quietly into the dark.
I'm having fun. I mean, I had to let you know. I know it weirded you out with the text, and I'm like, hey, I really value your friendship. I'm just putting this out there on the air. I don't know if you thought I was going to go do something drastic, or is this guy having a meltdown? Kelly, are you going to be around next week? What's going on?
Yeah.
Nah, man, it's just nice to let you know I value the friendship. I value what we do here. I value you as a person. I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take shit for granted.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and then life just has a way of kicking you right in the freaking teeth, right? So you kind of gotta take less for granted. You gotta let people know when you appreciate them.
Well, and I do appreciate it. I showed my wife that, and she's like, "You better not kiss you the next time he comes over." And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, couldn't tell you what's gonna happen.
If you weren't sick, I'd come over this table right now.
Gross.
Hope they heard that at 1.5 speed.
Yeah, but I don't even want to get into the nuances of trying to talk about the game because if you want that, you can go do that somewhere else. That's not what this is about. But yeah, I think the only thing that I'll tell you is I agree with Kelly. I think the Seattle defense is really dang good, and I think they're going to end up probably just kind of manhandling this from start to finish. So
they're going to dictate what New England does. Vrabel's going to be stubborn. He's going to be hard-headed. He's going to be like, this is our game plan. We're going to stand behind it. I just feel like Seattle's defense is going to dictate that whole thing.
Yeah. This feels like one of those Super Bowls where I'm just going to really kind of lock in for the commercials this year.
I'm not. I hate them.
Hate's
strong word. I dislike them.
Have you seen? So Jeep released theirs this morning, and it's I'll have you watch it before you leave. Holy cow! It's pretty darn funny.
Oh, good.
Spoiler alert: it involves Billy the Bass, the wall fish. That's the take me to the river.
Oh, no way.
Oh man, it might be an all-timer. It caught me off guard this morning because it's one of the. It kind of starts out a little, it's a dad and his kid, and they're taking their Jeep and blah blah blah, and they're doing all this stuff, and it takes a turn, and it's awesome. It's about as funny as the. Did you remember the Doritos or was it Doritos? What was it? Oh no, it was the pizza rolls commercial with the alien that came down last year.
I think so.
And he ends up tripping and falling, and like splitting his head open, and they're like, "That's just life. Life just happens. One day you're here, one day you're not." And their kids are all like in shock, and the dads are just eating pizza rolls. Like, that's just what happens,
The one that stuck with me forever was Puppy Monkey Baby.
Yeah,
is that what it was?
The Mountain Dew one.
The Puppy Monkey Baby.
Yeah.
And they just kept saying it.
Yeah.
And then my kids kept saying it, and then I kept saying it, and then I just get on a roll and I can't stop.
Yeah.
Puppy Monkey Baby.
Yeah.
Puppy Monkey Baby.
I wonder what percentage of people know what I'm talking about when I say Billy the Bass Fish.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I'd be curious to know.
It's been a minute since that
Yeah.
little fish has surfaced.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Going back into the archives for that one.
It's great. You're going to watch it before you leave.
Wonderful.
So, I said we'd talk about the baseball thing, but I don't really want to. I think we're good.
It's a long way to go.
It's dumb.
It's not necessarily dumb. It's just a long way to go. And then it's just kind of a drudge.
Well, I'm just talking about the stuff that's going on with the Dodgers being able to spend whatever money
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
They're going in 27. They're going into a lockout. It's going to happen.
That's fine.
So enjoy baseball while you can this year because you're not getting it next year.
This ridiculous crap with these 10-year contracts and millions and billions of dollars, and we'll pay you later, and here's an IOU, and
yeah,
hopefully you're still alive at 72 to still collect our paycheck and whatever. Baseball is, can I just say it? Baseball is freaking broken. It is broken.
It's broken, but they're not broke.
And if it gets locked out, then I guess it gets locked out.
The Dodgers have $2.14 billion in guaranteed salary, and that's more than the bottom 13 MLB teams combined. The Dodgers have spent more in the last 3 seasons, $1.80 billion, than the Yankees in the last 10 seasons at $1.59 billion, and more than 20 franchises since 1990.
Yeah, you remember when the Yankees were catching so much flack for contracts and how much they were paying people, and hey, we're going to buy ourselves a World Series.
Yep,
that's pretty small change now.
Something's got to change for sure, and it's not just the Dodgers spending a lot of money either. It's teams like the Pirates that have money to spend and refuse to actually spend it to make their teams better. So I hope and wish for a salary cap or something to kind of even the playing field to make this a little bit more interesting. But there's no reason why one team should have so much talent.
Yeah.
While the rest of them kind of like scrape the bottom of the barrel. But there's also no reason why one of the teams that makes the top 15 most money should be allowed to just sit there and not pay anything.
All right. You got a pen?
Yeah.
Over under. Kansas City Royals are moving their outfield in. They're shortening the field.
Oh, yeah.
To allow for more home runs. Yeah. Over under. How many more home runs get hit at Kauffman Stadium with the fields moving in?
I feel like we talked about what was the difference.
We didn't talk about it. You might have been with the boy group on texting, which sometimes I don't read. I don't keep up on. You might have been talking about it on there, but I want your over under on how many home runs is that really going to generate moving the field in?
I gotta see
because it's coming in. It's coming in pretty substantial.
Moving outfield walls. I gotta see what the.
Oh, disregard the over under. It's after 2030.
Oh, never mind. There you go.
Yep, disregard.
Left field and right field walls will be moved in 9 to 10 feet, starting close to the foul poles and then tapering towards center field, where 410 will remain the distance from home plate, and the wall height is going from 10 feet to 8.5 feet in most places.
That's why it's substantial.
And there will be more seats available, about 150 in left field and about 80 new drink rail seats in right.
You don't follow the Royals, Ryan. You don't.
So hold on. According to the team provided diagram, the left and right field corners are being pulled in 9 feet from 356 to 353. Wait. I guess I don't know. That doesn't math to me, but
no, 356 and 353.
Oh, sorry.
To 347
gotcha.
and 344.
Sorry, I read it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, the previous distances were 373 in both left and right fields. Will be 9 feet closer at 364 in left center, and right center fields will be moved in 10 feet to 389 and 379.
You don't follow the Royals. I follow the Royals. I try to watch games when I can. If you happen to follow any of the games and watch Kauffman in years past, if you watch the number of warning track hits that are out there where players are standing on the warning track to make a clean field of the ball, it's significant.
20 feet is a difference. Because, the previous distances were 373, now down to 353.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a difference. So
let me
put this into perspective.
That's total.
Right. But
so if you look at left field versus right field versus left center versus right center and all that stuff, it's 9 and 10. So they're pulling it at 9 feet. So they are pulling it in warning track plus 2 additional feet.
Yeah.
Right? Because warning track's 7.
Yep.
So they're pulling it, they're removing, well, not removing, but they're pulling it in ahead of the warning track. And I'm telling you, that is significant distance.
Well, yeah, 10 feet. So, and
then because it adds X number of feet, ultimately, when they're dropping the height of the wall as well. There's going to be some homers.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a high over on that when they get to it. Now, it's 2030. And chances are they might be in Kansas City, Kansas by then, playing in a new stadium there, but we'll see. Yeah. But I'm going to take a big over on that.
Did you see all that stuff about what's happening with how the Chiefs are getting paid through that?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
How is that legal?
I don't know if it's legal, but I think it's really smart.
It's absolutely. If you can get away with it, absolutely.
If that's a loophole that you can take advantage of, then by all means, jump on it.
For those of you that have no idea what we're talking about, you need to go look it up. But basically, the Chiefs have found a loophole to pay themselves for their new stadium.
That is accurate.
And it's insane.
That is accurate. No cost to them.
Yeah. And they get all the revenue. They basically make their
revenue
payments,
gains.
Yeah, they make their rent payments to the city of Kansas City, but it basically comes back to them around in a certain way, and the surrounding area gets none of it.
Yeah. I think before that's all said and done, Missouri.
The only thing that it will do is it will increase property values of the things around it.
Right. Which like in that area.
Yeah, like I've seen in Green Bay, for instance. Like you have an 800 square foot house next to Lambeau Field. It's like $700,000.
Yep. But in that area, Kansas City, Kansas, very different than Kansas City, Missouri, in terms of things that are kind of immediately around.
Yeah.
The actual stadiums, pretty different. Pretty different atmosphere and environment around there.
Yeah.
But if Missouri steps in, because they're going to have some time, right? They're going to have some time. Missouri could step in and do something to try to keep them in the state of Missouri, but we'll see. Man, I didn't research that very well. I thought Kauffman's was 2028.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, we'll have baseball here pretty soon. That'll be exciting. I don't know. I don't even know who I'm going to pay attention to this year, but it'll be what it is.
Why? What? Cardinals? No.
Just whatever. I'm still got one eye over here in Colorado, and I'm still paying attention to the Cardinals, and it's like...
Yeah, Colorado's a fun place to go visit, catch a ball game. Get your kid excited about baseball.
They made some decent moves in the, within the front office, which we'll see if that comes to fruition with anything. But they actually did things to try to improve the team in from a front office standpoint. So we'll see if that makes a difference. But yeah, and Cardinals are just trading everybody away. Arenado's gone, Donovan's gone, so their infield's basically been gutted.
It's all right. They'll be fine.
Yeah,
they recoup. Farm system, good farm system.
Yep. So I'm still trying to find my footing here as far as who I want to root for. I still have all my Rocky stuff, and it's just like whatever. So I'm sure that drives a couple people nuts, but I don't really give a shit. It is what it is at this point.
It's not up to them.
Just let me be me.
That's it. Be you. You be you, Ryan.
I can follow teams. I can
just be you,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I get told, don't be you. You, on the other hand.
Just be me.
And after people listen to the first hour of this one today, it's like, Kelly, really? Come on.
Ain't nothing like me but me.
Get back on the medications.
Yeah. But anyway, we appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for leaving your reviews and for telling a friend about us, because that's really the only way that we can gain any traction in this vast world of podcasting. If you want to be a part of the show, you can always comment on your podcast service of choice. I should probably go look and see if we have any comments, or you can email us at the Armchair Authority at gmail.com. If you would like a t-shirt to support the show, there's a link in the description for TeePublic where you can go order your Armchair Authority t-shirt. I will be working on a new edition for this year at some point. So hopefully we'll have a couple different options for you here before too long. Wow, this is super fast.
Yeah, something's been a little bit wonky in the air.
Yeah.
Cell data wasn't firing on all cylinders yesterday either.
I mean, I don't even know what it's trying to do here. There we go.
We're being taken over by aliens. It's what it is.
Wah, wah, wah.
We have nothing.
Yep, we got nothing, and that's fine. But if you want to be a part of it,
yep, we got nothing, but that's fine.
Yep.
It is what it is. But
it's
if you want,
all good. If you want to, make a comment on Kelly's rambling and continue to just
by all means,
beat him over the head with how he's wrong about NIL and recruiting.
Let's
you
have
can
some
leave
fun
a comment.
with it. Yeah,
you can leave a long-winded email as well if you choose to.
Let's do it. Let's get let's get it on.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
So make sure you go out there. I'm gonna go out there today and get all my accoutrements for the big game this weekend. Be a good time with family, and we hope you guys stay safe out there. Enjoy the nice weather wherever you're at. Hopefully it's nicer than what it has been in the last couple weeks. And I'm going to show Kelly a funny video, but you guys have yourself a great week.
Wait.
Yeah.
Viewership of the Super Bowl. Prediction right now. It's on NBC/Peacock.
Okay.
Viewership. Let's have it.
Dude, what was last year's?
Go ahead. Research it. Look it up.
Last year's Super Bowl.
I am taking the under on this year's Super Bowl compared to last.
123.7 million.
119.
Yeah,
prediction.
I was going to go sub 120.
Okay.
For the halftime show alone.
119.4.
Yeah. I'll say 118. I'll just go a little bit lower than you.
Sounds great.
I'll go a little bit lower. But yeah, for multiple reasons, I think some people are just tired of the Patriots stuff and whatever. It's a rematch between two teams that have already played. I don't know if there's a lot of Seahawks fans out there as far as that's concerned, and there's been a lot of scuttlebutt around the halftime show. So that'll either bring more eyes to it or it'll bring less.
I'm strictly I don't give two shits about the halftime show. I'm strictly looking at teams who are playing in said event.
Yeah, I'm just looking
119.4.
I'm just looking at the whole picture.
Yep.
So
you're a whole picture kind of guy.
Try to.
You're a glass half full.
Try to.
Mine is half empty.
Yeah. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy the weekend, and we'll chat with you next week.
They know the game, but they're keeping it fun, poking fun at the stats. They're second to none.